buddy Shay Baker and
Awesome.
Alex Rudd. So, how's it going, everyone?
Pretty good.
So here's some background for everyone. Shay Baker is the owner of Uploaded Fishing, and Shay actually fished the college circuit back when that was, I mean, like really going strong and good, like as it was starting, right? So
You said a long time ago. It's okay. You said
because I was just getting into it when you were finishing up.
yeah. When I was a senior, my partner was Jordan Lee, and he was a freshman. So that's how long it was. Jordan and Matt are both fishing the elites now, so it's been a while.
That's pretty cool, though. You guys always did really, really well.
Yeah, I actually found when I was cleaning up for this, I found this right here. I don't think I can fit in it anymore, but there it is. The old Auburn jersey. It was in the middle. See, I'm in my office / guest bedroom, and that's how long it's been. I watched that like maybe a year ago, and it was on this guest bed. So don't have a lot of visitors and don't clean up that often. So try to clean up. There's the bed over there. You sit.
That's funny. What's going on, everyone? We have a ton of people in here. I guess not a ton, but everyone's really talking. Okay, so Shay, I want you to talk a little bit about Uploaded and talk about kind of where that idea came from and where you're looking to go with it and grow with it. Because I think it is a really good fit for the YouTube, like me, to promote to these guys that are watching my YouTube channel, because it's really just about going out and filming yourself fishing, right? So
yeah, the idea kind of came from, like, I was watching Brandon Polnick and Matt Peters and a few other guys, 6-7 years ago, shooting video of them fishing and filming, kind of deal. So I started doing that. That developed into a job with bass. So I started putting GoPros on the boats for the Elite Series guys. Then a year later, through 2 or 3 different things coming together, GoPro is a title sponsor of the Classic, and it just kind of, I fell in the right place at the right time. It kind of all blew up. But all of that kind of led to where we are now, where I said, I'm tired of, if you want to fish a tournament, it's $1,500 for an open entry fee, $1,000 for somewhere to stay for the week, $1,000 between gas and food and everything else. Nobody can afford that, not the average person. So even these local tournaments, $150 entry fees and stuff, it's really hard for, just the average working guy to go do that. And a lot of people don't have boats. So I wanted to be able to fish competitively from anywhere, anytime, any economic standpoint. I mean, some of this stuff, you got to buy a $5 pack of bait, $5 pack of worms. So it's just kind of a good for anybody to fish competitively. And that's kind of where we started and where we are now. And as far as where we're going, I mean, the sky's kind of the limit. There's this little top secret deal here. Not many people know about it, but our next step is uploadhunting.com. So we're going to start doing different hunting, duck hunting, deer hunting, and turkey hunting with different products. And that may be more seasonal instead of monthly. Have a year, and we want to give away a truck. We're giving away a boat for the best fishing video of the year. We want to give away a truck for the best hunt video. So that's kind of where we're going. But and then who knows? I mean, you can do it with tennis, you can do it with golf, you can do it with anything people do. It's
sweet.
It's content harvesting. It's the same thing. America's Funniest Home Videos did it 20 years ago. They said, send us your funniest video in America and we'll give you $100,000. So it's kind of the same thing with us. These companies want content that's natural and real, people going out and using their product. And there's a lot of studies done that consumer content, which is what this is 97% more effective at selling product than having a guy like Iaconelli or Van Dam tell you to go buy it. Because when you look at those guys, you respect them, obviously, but they're in front of an $80,000 boat, $20,000 in gear. The average person doesn't think I can go out and do what they do just because they do it. Whereas if I go show a guy you walking the bank, he can say, well, I can do the same thing. So that's kind of where our head was at when we created the whole thing.
Right. And yeah, for those of you guys that don't know, Uploaded gave away a boat this year. They gave away a Triton, a wrapped Triton with a Mercury on the back, Pro XS.
Yeah, Mercury 150 with a TRX 189 Triton. So we're really, really excited and proud to be able to do that. And it was just a little idea I had a long time ago, and it kind of developed into giving away a boat. And we already have the boat we're going to give away for this year too. So
Yeah, that's going to be sweet.
All year and then give it away. So excited about that. And it'll have power poles and 2 Lowrance graphs, and we're going to really step it up this year and make it a better boat, you know.
That'll be awesome, man. Yeah, so I brought Shay on here in case you guys have any questions. And Shay is also a really good stick. And he has some great YouTube content. Shay, honestly, you were one of the first GoPro YouTubers, I guess you want to call it, fishermen, that kind of got into this whole thing. So it's cool to have your perspective.
I had a lot of guys blow by me. That YouTube world's kind of interesting. You got to do it every day or every other day to really be able to build. And I just never had the time with the job I had and everything. So I had my little YouTube channel with a couple hundred followers, you know, and I was enjoying putting out content. But man, you look at these kids nowadays and they're sitting there with 500,000 followers. Like, good Lord, you know, how do you subscribers? I apologize. That's how old I am. I'm thinking followers versus subscribers. So who knows, you know?
Yeah, and what the cool thing is too, and Alex can attest to this, is it's not anymore just going out and catching big fish, right? Like, it doesn't matter if you catch a 30-pound bag of smallmouth or you catch 5 2-pounders. If you go out there and put out cool content, in the same way with uploaded, right? I mean, if you go out there and put together the best video, you have a chance to win. You don't have to go out and catch a 10-pounder.
Well, what's funny is we said that at the beginning of the year that, you know, we were really looking for creative videos, and there was a potential for a smaller fish to beat a 10-pounder, depending on the edit, you know. And then we ended up seeing Mike Balls, which was a great edit too. He had several point of view and had a lot of people vote for him. And but we saw him with a 10-pounder, and it was actually a double go up against Darian, which had a really quality edit. So, and Darian ended up winning, and it could have gone either way. Like we actually had that split where it was 50% determined by the public, 50% determined by a panel, which is it was myself, an older angler, a younger angler, and a non-angler that voted on the videos based on certain criteria: creativity, points of view, storyline, size of the fish. And Mikey Balls, the guy that finished second, actually won the panel, but he won it by a smaller margin than Darian won the public vote. So it was interesting to see, you know, how it all played out. And we're doing that same thing next year where every contest there's going to be a panel and a public vote, and it's going to be 70% panel and 30% public vote. So we still want the public vote to matter, but we really want to make sure. We saw some of the contests during the qualifiers last year, the opens. You know, each month we have these opens, and you finish, depending on where you finish, you got to win one of those to qualify for the Video of the Year race where we give away the boat. So we saw a couple of those times some of the better videos not win because they weren't getting the number of votes. You know, it was strictly public vote back then. So we really want to have the panel kind of put the better videos, better 3 or 4 videos at the top, and then let the public vote kind of determine the winner from those better 3 or 4 videos. And then I think that's the best way to determine what the best video is, you know.
Yeah, that'll be a cool way to do it, because I know there were some people hesitant because they weren't sure if they could get people behind them to vote for them. But that'll be sweet.
You know, when you have a monster channel, some guys have big channels and or big followings on Instagram or wherever that they can push that audience to vote, and they go vote. People just go vote, you know, because you tell them to go vote, not necessarily won't even watch a 3-minute video to vote whether they, and they especially won't watch 3 or 4 other videos, even if they watch your video, you know. So we want that traffic driver, obviously, from a business standpoint. We need people to find out about what we're doing, because when people find out about it, they come back. We've seen, you know, like you, I mean, you found out about it early on, and you've been a big supporter of it and a big participant. So we really want people to find out about it, and we need that traffic that these influencers can send to us. But at the same time, we don't want a guy to win a boat with a bad video just because he's an influencer, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that's cool, man. I'm excited for it this season. I know you started, excuse me, you already started announcing some of your sponsors for this year, which is pretty cool. I mean, you're on top of that stuff. So who do you have right now? Nichols? Power Pro?
Off the top of my head, Nichols, Missile, Power Pole, TH Marine, Missile Jigs, and Missile Bait. I think we're going to lock down Greenfish Tackle this week, which will be another kind of jig, spinnerbait, buzzbait type company. They have a few other things too, but who else we got? Off the top of my head right now, but I had a sheet around here somewhere. But we're actually going to announce the schedule, what we have next week. This coming week, we're going to announce what we have. We still have some vacancies on there where hopefully sponsors will come along as the year goes on. But one thing we're going to do every month, to where worst case scenario in the summer, you know, one of those dead hot months, which is actually nice up there, you can catch some big fish, but down here in the south, I mean, you know, it can be miserable. So even in those summer months, if we end up with only one sponsor or something like that, each month we're going to have a best fish catch wearing our gear, and you can buy the gear online at uploadedfishing.com. But each month, just like that hat you're wearing there, this hat I'm wearing, t-shirts, we got hoodies, we got a little bit of everything, but that's a bunch of it on my shoulder there. But each month we're going to have a category where we give away. First place will be $100 gift card to the Tackle Warehouse. Second place will be, or first place is $50, second place and third place, fourth and fifth, I think, are $25 apiece. So each month we're going to make sure we have something for people to compete with. And all you got to do in those situations is go out and fish with any product, make a fishing video, and be wearing the hat, and you can qualify. So, or wear the shirt or whatever, you know, any of the clothing. So, and we're trying to branch out, have rain jackets and you know, performance fishing apparel. A lot of people like the athletic shirts, performance shirts. So we're trying to get some of those, and just really buffs, you know, just trying to get a bunch of clothing. And then, you know, everybody wearing it, that helps us too, helps spread the brand around, helps people say, what is that, you know, and then you can tell them about it. So that's really what we need. We're sponsoring Ike Live this year, which is pretty neat, because that's kind of where a lot of this stuff spawned from, is we all saw Ike doing it. And so we're sponsoring Ike Live, and it's going to be good to see those guys wearing some of the gear, and we're going to Skype in for Skype. That's really showing my age there. I used to Skype when I was in college studying abroad in Spain, and I Skyped with my family and girlfriend back home. So that's 10 years ago, I guess. But anyway, we're going to be on Ike Live virtually, and then I'm going to go and be in the studio with him at some point too. So
that'd be awesome.
That's really a good audience for us too. You know, we think 13 to 30-year-olds is kind of our target demographic, and any kind of fisherman, bank, boat, kayak, whatever, but just kind of that 13 to 30-year-old, and older than that can compete. Nobody below 13 can compete as right now, just because it's hard to get the rights to use the content. You know, it's any kind of, you know, user-generated content below 13 is really a legal issue that we can't even get into, you know. So yeah, that's kind of where we are.
That'll be sweet, man. Well, let's start. I'll have people start sending in questions, and they can be anything, you know, fishing related, uploader related, life related. So you guys can send in some questions, and then we'll start answering them for you guys, because Shay's the stick to. Shay, you're from Alabama, so you have a little bit different perspective than Alex and I. Alex is over in Tennessee. So
go Vols.
Right.
Was there a question? You can wait for other people to ask questions.
I just wanted to see if anyone wanted to ask any questions. A lot of times they'll shoot some questions our way in case they have anything. Fishing with Fabby says, how's he sign up? You just go over to uploadedfishing.com, and they have pretty much a segment where it'll show you what products are for that month, and then you click on it. It'll take you to a different page where you sign up and upload your videos.
Yeah, right now it's just a video, kind of me explaining the series, and then Darian showing off the boat he won last year. But whenever the tournament series begins, 1st of February, it'll have that month's, you know, categories right there on the home page. So you can just click on it, like man said, and hit upload your video. And you don't actually have to be a member. You don't have to sign up, anything like that. You just, whenever you get ready to upload your content each month, you just go in and fill out a form and hit upload, and put your video up there. So. And
are you guys ever going to spread to Canada? Is that something you guys are looking at?
Yeah, we really want to. There's a lot of, it's weird when you get to talking about different stuff internationally. There's a lot of things just state to state here, but whenever you start talking about Canada or Mexico. Not just, I mean, if you open it up, you have to consider the fact that somebody could win the boat. So it's one thing to ship somebody a couple packs of worms, you know, a $500 gift card, but when you got to think about, like, just like in Alabama, when Darian won the boat, he had to pay $500 tax on the boat or something like that. Okay, I don't even know what kind of tariffs and taxes and all would be included on having to try to ship a boat to Canada. So it may be different for the provinces. I don't know. So we're thinking about having some kind of international competition that's just like a one-off wild card type thing. Wouldn't be able to qualify for the boat giveaway, but at least give away some gift cards, you know, different stuff. I mean, I'm assuming Tackle Warehouse is hooked up with Canada where they ship stuff to them. I would guess, because that's a, you know, big site. So even if it was something like Tackle Warehouse gift cards or something like that. So we may have something, but we can't open up the competition until we're sure that we can give away the boat. And I've heard, you know, Mercer and I are good buddies, and he's talked to me before about giveaways up there. Like, he tried to have giveaways, and there's some huge restrictions on any kind of giveaway up there. So, and this isn't a giveaway per se, but it's treated like one in a lot of situations, you know.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And Basky asks, does the video have to be exclusive to upload, or can we still use it on YouTube?
And you can upload it anywhere. Whenever you upload it, all you're doing is giving us it's like giving us a sub license to it. So we can either put it up on the site, which we do with all the videos. We can put it up on the site, and we have the rights to do that. And then we can also let the different sponsors use it. Like Missile Baits actually used 2 or 3 of the videos last year in their booth. So at ICAST. So they like using this content, again, because you can mix in a fish catch from Ben with a fish catch from Ike and Nelly, and that catches everything, because you got a professional fisherman out there, and you got a novice, you know, everyday angler out there too using products. So they really like being able to use the content. So that's really all you're doing when you upload it, and you can upload it to your own stuff, Facebook. I mean, it's great to say this is my submission to upload it this year, and this month. And two, something to stress is we're going to announce our schedule. So we don't want you to wait until August 1st to start fishing for an August tournament. You can go ahead and start collecting content now. You can look out there on the calendar and say, I love TH Marine Products in August, so I'm going to start going ahead and fishing and building my content. You can even build your video. The only thing you can't do is upload it until that month. So, and you can have footage that you shot 3 years ago if it falls into the right criteria. And the only thing you got to do is show that product, you know, make sure that we can tell that product was used. And one thing we want to see this year more of, and Ben did a great job on his Dirty Jigs video last year, we kind of want people to talk a little bit about the product to where it's worthwhile to the sponsors, because even if you show the camera real close a jig and you can tell it's a dirty jig, people that don't know dirty jigs can't tell. And so it really didn't do what Dirty Jigs wants it to do. So, and you don't want to overdo it either. You don't want to just sit down and have a 5-minute video of you talking about the bait, but do a little rigging, you know, 15 seconds, talk about this is, you know, a jig, this Scott Canterbury jig from Dirty Jigs Tackle, something like that. And we want to see more audio from the angler, you know, real audio, ambient noise, versus just a music video. Music videos are really popular. They do really good. You don't need a good mic. You don't need, you know, you don't have to worry about wind noise. Just put a music track in there and let it go. But that really doesn't tell the story like the story is told on uploaded. We want you to really kind of go. You can have that for 30 seconds too, and then have, you know, your content where you really sit down and talk and kind of go through what you're doing. But you know, or in the moment when you catch a fish and just say, hey, I just caught this fish on that, or you say, oh, I did that, whatever. We want more of the angler talking than just a music video this year.
That'd be cool too, because that kind of exposes, like with that that Scott Canterbury Pro Buzz, right? I mean, that was one of the cool things about that bait is how well you can skip it. So I wanted to make sure that I highlighted that, or found a way to highlight that in the video. And I just got lucky that I caught one on the first cast on it.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So here's a question not uploaded fishing related, but I think all three of us can kind of answer this. What are some tips and tactics, and what do we look for when preparing for a tournament? So that's both before the tournament and like before you get on the water, and then pre-fishing, and then all the way through tournament day. So if you want to take that away first, Shay or Alex, I'll let you guys answer. And then
You can go first, Alex, if you want to.
I'm sorry. What was the question? I wasn't even listening. My mom and dad are on a cruise and they're on FaceTime, and I'm trying to listen to both. What was the question?
oh, my bad. What are your tips and tactics, and what do you look for when preparing for a tournament? So both pre-fishing, before the tournament, and once you get out
Okay.
to the
Well,
tournament.
my main pre-fishing thing for any tournament is just I do a lot of electronics first. And I go, especially if it's a deep tournament, I'll go find fish or find high percentage areas where I know fish are going to be at. And I won't do a lot of, I'll do a little fishing just to see if they're there. But other than that, I do a lot of electronic stuff, a lot of studying maps, especially if it's a lake I've never been to before. But then it's just, it's breaking down the lake. And if it's a lake around me that I know, I'm going to use what I know from previous years and use my journals and everything that I've got, all my logs and all that to kind of see what I was doing last year or, even last week and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, I'm not fishing any tournaments that are big enough that, like I have a specific time that I can go fish and all this, and it's like pre-fish. It's go figure them out the day before and go show up. And because around here, there's no consistency. It changes from day to day. I've been on one bite one day and it completely changed to another bite another day. So
How do you adjust to that? I mean, it's just fish in the moment, right, for you?
yeah, a lot of it is really. I mean, and the best way to adjust is just to fish. I mean, I've literally, is never give up on any particular thing too soon, but have enough, know how to be able to give up on something when you should give up on something. You know what I mean? But I mean,
Yeah.
I've been fishing before and fished all day and not got a bite, and in the last 20 minutes of the day, sacked up 15 pounds because I figured it out. You know what I mean? And so, but a great example of it changing quickly was when Walker was here. The morning bite was an A-rig, the middle of the day was a jerk bait, and the end of the day was a crankbait. And I'm not kidding you, it was just like that. Like they quit biting, I picked up a jerk bait, they started biting it, and then they quit biting it, I picked up a crankbait and they started biting it. So
That's pretty cool. And that's a matter, too, of knowing, understanding the seasonal patterns, right? Understanding how those fish are moving in the fall for you guys down there and what you need to be doing or how you need to transition. And a lot of that can be figured out before you even go to the lake. You look online, you look at what seasonal pattern they should be in and kind of get an idea. But
yeah, for sure.
For sure, be getting that for sure.
That's right.
what about you, Shay? I mean, what's your biggest thing? Because you competed all the way on that wild card for the Bass Open. And
Well, to touch on what Alex was talking about, I do a lot of that too, where you kind of pre-fish. Google Earth is fantastic. It's probably the clearest, shot where you can really zoom in. I found on my home lake here, Lake Martin, I went on there the other day and found like 15 brush piles that I never fished before. And the images were taken when the water was down. So you can go back, like if you have a lake that has a winter pool, you can go back and say, it'll show you at the bottom of Google Earth, this picture was taken December 17th, 2012. We can go back and look at what that water level was. And the brush piles can rot out, but a lot of people replace them, so especially if it's within the last year, you can go back and look at the water levels on those different fisheries. A lot of them, I can do it on Lake Martin. And you can say, okay, the water was down 2 feet further than it is now. If I see brush on the bank, it's in the water, So that's how I went around and found some stuff the other day. And a cool app, Navionics actually has an app for $10. And it's my understanding that you can go around and pull up any lake that they have and see if you can see that. But that's Navionics. You can zoom in and get the different water depths and everything. So I went around with Google Earth, found brush, and went on the Navionics app, plugged in where it was, and when I went out there on the water, it'll actually show you where your location is on the map and shows you where you're going and everything. So I ran around and found those brush piles pretty quick. On a lake I fished, I'm 30 years old. Since I was 6, probably I've been fishing out there and found brand new brush. So a lot of that pre-fishing, if you want to call it that, is really, really good. And you can do it anytime. It's like tinkering with tackle. Like you can sit around and do that, and it doesn't cost anything. I mean, that app's $10. It's a one-time thing, but it doesn't cost you gas to run around all over the lake.
Right.
So, and as
I
far
mean,
as
heck, the other day I found some springs that I never knew existed hiking. They were running into the lake, and dead serious, I dropped a pin right there where I was hiking on Google Earth. And I mean, dude, I did the same thing. I find places like that. I use Google Earth all the time. That's my favorite. Heck, I use Google Earth more than I use my Navionics chip in my graph. I use Google Earth all the time. And I've got places. I mean, if you pulled up my Google Earth right now, I've got pins dropped from here to Lake Wheeler and back. Yeah. I mean, it's just, it's awesome. He's right. Google Earth is just a lifesaver.
Yeah. At one point, I had an iPad in the boat, and you hit too many waves, and it starts messing up because it doesn't take jolts very good. But I had an iPad in the boat, and I would actually run it beside my graph, like he's talking about, and you'll find ponds that you don't know exist. You may be way up a creek, and on your Navionics it goes out, but you're 100 yards from seeing a little opening. If you just keep going and you see that opening, you go off in a pond, you catch a big old bag. But you asked about that wild card in Okeechobee. One of the things I did is I went to I never really caught him good punching before that, and that's how I caught him in that tournament, was punching. So on the way down to Florida, I went with a buddy of mine, Rich Howes, to a lake down there that's unbelievable. And if you got something like that, okay, say you think that there's going to be a great spinnerbait bite somewhere, or you think there might be a spinnerbait bite, but you don't want to go out there and spend 2 days trying to figure out how to fish it if you've never fished it. So I went out with him to learn how to punch and to kind of get a feel for the bite and that kind of thing. So I went to a really good fishery to do that versus going on down to Okeechobee and practicing where I might get 4 bites in a day. You might have 30 pounds, but you're not going to get as many bites. You can't really develop the feel for it.
Right.
So I went out with him, and we caught 25 pounds 3 times, just it's an unbelievable place. I'm about to go back down there because, by God, I cannot. I'm in Reeltown, Alabama, where it's been cold for 3 days, so I don't know how y'all do it up there. I see you up there with your 2-foot rod sitting on a hole. Oh, my God, I don't know how you do that. But anyway, I digress. So I went out there with him and caught a bunch of fish, and you also learn what to look for. I found, which I've always heard fish hyacinth. Hyacinth. For those y'all don't know, if you got hyacinth, it just hangs down about that far. It could hang down way down here. It could be real tight, depending on how big it is. But it's kind of an overhead deal. So when you have a wall of hydrilla and that hyacinth blows into it, you basically have a wall and a roof. Now, the best case scenario is when you get like a lily pad field or dollar lilies or whatever, and then hyacinth kind of blows in. So you just have a mat over top of an opening. And, that hyacinth is the deal anytime you're down there in Florida. So, but I got a feeling for, okay, are they on the back edges? Are they in the middle? If there's 10 feet of hyacinth, where are they? And a lot of times, and I learned this from JT Kinney too, and that's one thing I've had a real luxury of is fishing with some of the greatest guys out there and learning from them. I covered the Elite Series for 3 years and the Tour for 2 years before that, and it's like being a co-angler every day. You're with a hammer, so you really get to learn what they do. And JT Kinney taught me to fish the seams. So if there's 3 different types of vegetation, fish the seams of every one of them, whatever the case may be. And that's because underneath the water, if you're looking at it, something different's happening, each one of those seams. It may be, again, a canopy with a wall, or they can get up against the wall and wait for something to come by and shoot at it and grab it, something like that. So fishing the seams. So being on that lake, I got a bunch of bites, learned how to, because first couple times I got bit, I totally, whiffed on it, totally missed them and everything. Snatched way too hard, didn't snatch hard enough. You're supposed to pull, whatever. Learn how to get the hook set in them. Yeah. And just kind of learn the technique. So that's one of my things is if you got a fisher, even if it's a pond around your house, and you say, I want to learn how to throw a square bill better, go out there and throw a square bill all day. You'll catch some fish. You might fight them too hard to start with, and they come off, and learn what you need to do different to get them to the boat, to where when you go out to that lake and the first bite you get is a 4-pounder and you don't lose it, A lot of that pre-fishing other water is really helpful too if it's really good water.
That's a good point. Is learning techniques. That's something that I haven't talked about too much, but going out and, I mean, this doesn't even have to be tournament fishing, but going out and throwing a bait and just keeping it in your hand all day to learn, you know, what a bite feels like or where to fish it, and it'll take longer than a day to become what you want to call an expert at it. But if you go out and get some bites on it, you learn what works or what doesn't. And you get a better feel for that bait, a lot like what you're saying.
And developing confidence is the biggest thing. Like even deep fishing, you know, offshore fishing, I never really was any good at it, and I'm still not great, but I was scared. You know, I was scared to go out there because I didn't have any confidence in it. And I finally went out there, and if you do, like you said, I just went out there and I said, I'm going to fish deep for a day. I didn't put a shallow rod in the boat. I just said, I'm just going to go fish deep. And I caught a few, and after that, now I love it now. You know, it's just one of my favorite things to do. But don't be scared of that stuff. You just got to go develop a little bit of confidence. Get a bite, and you'll feel better. And, you know, get 10 bites in a day, and you're on your way, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I tell everybody. I mean, because you all the time, like, how do I get better at this? How do I get better at that? And it's all about it's consistency with a certain bait and learning all the little nuances and everything. And the only way you're going to do that is just to do it. It's like those big swim baits. I mean, like every swim bait swims different. And so when I'm throwing an eye slide, you know, you got to learn how to just, even down to how you just turn the reel. It keeps the bait going a certain direction, and it's like walking the dog on a topwater. If you don't know how to work that reel just right, that bait's not going to work right. Or if it's a deep crank, if you don't know how to fish, a point a certain way, you're never going to get bit. But if you go over 2 feet, you're going to get bit. It's just all about consistency and becoming proficient with any certain bait, whatever it may be.
Yeah. Alex, you fished a demi rig a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Baskey just said that he worked at an expo with some Elite Series guys, and they're really ranting and raving about the demi rig. You want to share a little bit about what that is and how you fish it?
Sure. Well, I'll just go ahead and tell you I didn't get a bite on it. But it is it's pretty much a demi rig. Demi is a company, so it's a brand name. But they make a little thing called the armor shad, and it looks like a fluke. It's pretty much what it is, a little like 3.5-inch fluke. And you put it on the little demi head, which has a pretty unique shape to it. It's kind of like a swooped bottom like this, and then it kind of triangles off at the top. And you pretty much graph fish and you video game fish for them. You find them, you drop straight down on them, you watch the bait drop, and you kind of just dead stick it or kind of twitch it in their face a little bit, and catches a lot of big fish. I know guys have caught a lot of big fish doing it. I just couldn't get them to bite it for me. I ended up throwing something else and catching a lot more fish, a lot bigger fish. But that's pretty much all it is. I mean, it's just super finesse, like 6 to 8 pound line, spinning rod, just video game fishing. It's definitely, I think it could be something you could do in the summer, but it's definitely a late winter fish technique. Smallmouth hate the thing. They just want to kill it.
I've never done it. Is it just like kind of like jigging a spoon, vertical fishing, but it's a soft plastic and a little bit more subtle?
Yeah, pretty much. It's exactly what it is. It's like jigging a silver buddy or a spoon, just directly over top of them, vertical fishing.
I guess.
I can't get them to bite the dang thing. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong or what it is, but I threw it, and I was getting my eyes beat out by Dad on the front of the boat throwing what he was throwing. I said, screw this, and tied on what he was throwing and started catching fish. I don't know if it's just they didn't want it or what it was.
Is it that Mazrin head or whatever?
Yeah, I think it's something like that. I don't know. It's on, if you go in Tackle Warehouse, you can find the stuff. But it's like it's a weird looking head. It's like swooped on the bottom like this, and it kind of like squares off at the top.
Does it look like a wobble head almost?
A little bit. Hold on, I'll find a picture of it.
Okay. Yeah.
I just looked up the weather for Okeechobee, Florida, and it's 45 right now, but it's 81 next week. Boys,
oh God.
Yeah, I'm headed.
I'm about to have to drive down there.
Well, I'm trying to get down there with Mikey Balls.
Yeah.
And I'm going down in April, but I wanted to be down there sooner than that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was 0 here last night, so I'm ready for some warmer weather.
Can't do it. I don't do 0. I don't do negative. I know I got a negative. I don't care. Negative anything we're talking about temperature is the weirdest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. It's like wind chill factor.
Old Alabama boy, man, I know what you're talking about. We got some friends that live down on Wheeler, man, and I mean, we're telling him it's like, 0 degrees up here. He's like, I can't remember a day that it's ever been 0 degrees in Alabama. And I was like, well, there you go. Here's that head. I don't know if it'll clear. There you go.
Oh, yeah. But it's like V on the top of that. Like it comes down like.
Yeah. And here's the top of it. You can kind of.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. But it's like straight down.
So that's called for those of you guys watching, that's called the panda jig head. But interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting for sure. I'm still waiting to catch a fish on it. I've seen some absolute slaunch donkeys come out of Cherokee on that damn thing, and I just cannot get them to bite it. I don't know what the deal is. I can get them to bite a spoon or a silver buddy, a drop shot, but they won't bite that thing.
Dang, I'm gonna have to get that.
It's weird.
Jeff says it's hot in April in Florida. What do those fish do in April though? I mean, right now they're up spawning or getting ready to go. They gotta be post spawn almost summer.
I'd probably say they're deep, right?
Yeah.
Well, Okeechobee is like average depth 6 foot, 7 foot, so it's hard for them to do. It's a weird lake, man. I've seen them spawn down there in April. Not like a hard wave of it. I've seen them spawn in there in November.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What is Mikey fish that he fishes so deep? Because I mean, he's still in like 10XDs, but ain't he on Okeechobee?
No, he lives over in Fort Myers, so there's some lakes over there by him. So Okeechobee, let's say here's Florida, right? Okeechobee's like down here in the middle, right? Yeah. I think. And Fort Myers is way over here on the west side.
They just makes trips to Okeechobee. I get it.
Yeah.
Cool.
There's a bunch of hammer holes down there. Like I don't know where he's fishing, but I'm assuming it's one of them hammer hole deep holes, like some of the hammer hole shallow place, like that place I was talking about. I went.
Yeah.
It's a solid mat. Like you put the boat in, you're in a mat, and that's all you. It's a flooded farm. So like the pond is square. It's a pond. I call it a pond. It's a lake, but it's public. But it's a square, a big rectangle.
Yeah.
And they flooded a farm that had dikes around it to keep the water out. Well, now it's flooded with the water in, and like it's the whole thing's like 6 foot deep. So you're just in the middle of a mat and you just flip, and it can be too thick where the whole thing's just choked off. So in time it kind of dies down enough to where you can flip the edges of it. It's where like JT Kenny and Tharp went down there and made a Welcome to the Jungle video. I don't know if you remember seeing that. It was ridiculous. And there's been a lot of, like, Scott Martin can say what he wants to. Scott Martin's filmed like 3 shows out there, and he'll say they're Okeechobee. It's messed up. But like I know the place, and I know Okeechobee, and you cannot see a tree in the background on Okeechobee except for like 3 places, and you dang sure can't see a tree in 4 different directions. Like they'll be on there and they'll pan, and there's trees all around it, And I'm like, that's not Okeechobee, dude. There's nowhere on there. Like him and Jacob Wheeler went out there, and they're like, Jacob's like following him along out of the island, out of the canal down there at Clewiston. It's like, Scott's like, I'm gonna take you to our little sweet honey hole. We're gonna go out here in Okeechobee, and I'm gonna take you to. We'll be within sight of each other all day, setting it up, And then the next thing you see is them on this pond, basically hammering on them, and they're within sight of each other all day because you can't go anywhere. And he's like, how do you like my hole? Jacob's like, I love it, man. This is the best place I've ever fished in Okeechobee. And I'm like, y'all are so messed up, dude. Jacked up. Because what's jacked up about it is at the end, he's like, come on down for a guide trip on Okeechobee. And it's like, that's not Okeechobee. Not right. That's like the least bad thing he's ever done. So I don't know how to get started.
That's funny, though.
Scott's probably watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the 18 viewers or whatever. That we messed up.
Yeah. If he is, I mean, like,
Gotcha. No,
my,
I'm telling you the truth.
my philosophy is the days of, and I've told Ben this, the days of Jersey fishing is over. Ain't that right, Ben? And you know as much as us as we do. The internet's going to take over, and when it does, I believe professional fishing will still be a thing, but I think internet fishing is going to take over the game when it comes to the business side of things.
Yeah. The money hasn't realized it yet, but as soon as it does, when you realize that you can get more out of sponsoring John B than you can get out of sponsoring the whole Elite Series, as far as selling product to kids and stuff, you're right. It'd be like NASCAR. I mean, NASCAR has died so bad. It's a totally different deal, but NASCAR is dead compared to what it was 10 years ago. Like, you can watch a race and there's like 7 people, watching it. So, and that's because they charge outrageous prices for everything. But anyway, as far as the fishing thing goes, it's just not there anymore. As far as professional fishing, like, professional fishing is going to take on a whole new definition, like you're talking about. Like, there's going to be professional fishermen who've never fished a tournament. There are now. Like, these YouTube guys that are making 6 figures on YouTube, they're not even worried about getting the Abu Garcia sponsorship. Why would they? They don't need that. Yeah. So it's going to be weird to see where it goes in the next 10 years.
And I mean, it's just the truth. I've got to the point now that I don't want to fish a tournament. I have no desire to fish a tournament because I enjoy making videos and putting out content and doing what I'm doing. You know what I mean? And I'm fairly successful so far at it. I mean, I'm sponsored by 5 different companies, including Nichols and Connect Scale and Beast Coast and Lucky Tackle Box. And I've fished tournaments, but not under the sponsors' names. I've got all that from just doing YouTube. So why would I ever want to fish a tournament and go give my money away? You got 12 tournaments during the year. You're going to give your money away, 8 of them probably, if you're not, good enough.
It's a zero-sum game at best. Like, if you can get back to 0, you've had a successful year.
Yeah, you have done something. And then if you can win one, you've really done something.
Yeah. You're up for your tops.
I don't know if you guys watch or read Jay Kumar Bass Blaster, but Kevin Short does a little segment on that once in a while, and he did something where he talked to a whole bunch of elite guys, looked at what they're paying and what they're actually making in a year. And to actually make money, like, if you're self-funded, to actually make money, you have to be in like the top 13 or 14 guys on the Elite Series.
You know how good the top 13 or 14 guys are. Like, I don't think Jesus ever really fished. I know he threw a few nets around, but if he came here today and said, I'm going to be a professional bass fisherman, he'd have a hard time cracking that top 13 or 14. Like, those guys are really, really good, Yeah.
It's funny. They're all here, or they've been here. They've all left now, but they were all doing the pre-fish for Cherokee. And it was funny to see how many of them got in boats with other guys.
Oh, yeah.
And like, I had one dude, I don't know who it was. He was all decked out in Sims, so you can only assume who it was. But he fished and was watching us, and we were like hammering on him. Dude, we got on a school of smallmouth, and so he watched us. He was in a boat with the other guy. Well, before he pulled bites, he pulled his buff up over his face so we couldn't see who he was. And as soon as he got out of eyesight, he pulled it back down off his face. And I was just like, bro, all right, whatever, man. I don't give a crap. I'm going to make my YouTube video and keep doing what I'm doing. Bye. I mean, so it was so funny, though. It's just, but like, just seeing that just kind of makes you think, well, we'll see what it's like 10 years from now. We'll see who's at the top of the game and who's not.
I spent so much time looking behind the curtain. Like, I used to want to fish. I used to want to be a professional fisherman, and I don't know if I could have hacked it or not. But I was really – that's what my goal was to be a professional fisherman. Well, I kind of got started doing the media side of it along the way, and I said, well, if I'm going to do this, I can't do that. I have to pick one. So because it's just not right to watch those guys every week and then go compete against them, even if I'm going out in the open and they're still fishing the opens. It's just not right, in my opinion. So I had to make a decision. So I ended up going with journalism because, for one thing, it was a guaranteed check, which is really nice and necessary. But the other thing about it was I saw behind the curtain, and I saw like it's just not, between the two things, it's not glamorous and it's not a fair fight. You know, if you're not going to go out and, excuse the French, whore yourself out for anybody that'll take you fishing, that'll go show you, like you said, one thing, one hole, whatever. If you're not willing to stoop to that level, it's really, really hard to compete, especially for the first year or two guys out there. Because some of the older guys don't have to. For one thing, they've already done it, some of them, and then they've also got enough experience. They've been to that lake 4 times. But when you're there for the first time ever, you just about have to do that to compete, because it's not against the rules. And as long as it's not against the rules, the hammers are going to do it. So you have to try, you know. And I didn't want to do that. Like I said, I'm not saying, I'm not under any illusions that I could have been out there in the top 13, 14% and made a living at it.
Right.
I could have gone out there surely and cashed a check once a year, but that's not worth anything. So anyway, now there's about 6 or 7 guys, and I'll give them the credit. There's like 6 or 7 guys that still go out there to this day, and they're so hard-headed, and they're just going to go do their own thing. Some of them do that because they got help once upon a time, and it just messes them up. There's guys that get help, and it just screws them all up. So they're better off just going out and fishing themselves. And some of those guys, like Aaron Martins is one of them, that if he gets help, it just totally destroys him, because the reason he catches fish are things that nobody else can understand. He doesn't even understand it. He'll be driving along, and he'll be like, there's a beaver. And he'll pull over. And I'm like, dude, why did you catch a fish there? He's like, I don't know. I just saw that beaver, and I thought that was cool. I'm going to go over here and fish where this beaver was. And I caught a fish. And I'm like, why, though? He's like, I just saw a beaver. I don't know.
That's why I love Aaron Martins right there. Like that, just like that's it. That's awesome.
That's just
awesome.
He called me 2 things last year. It's the kind of things that just shake you to the point you have no idea what to say to him. I was following him at Cal Delta, and I'm a good 40 yards away from where he's fishing. He's fishing down this canal. And there's like cattails that are 8 feet tall and all this stuff. And he's fishing for a fish on bed at the base of these cattails. So I said, I'm going to get out and I'm going to walk down here where I can get a picture of him from up on top of them. There's cars driving down this dike. There's like cars driving down it. I said, I'm going to walk down here and shoot down into it, a cool picture. I'm 40 yards away from him. He's like, whoa, dude, he sees you. He sees you. Stop, man, stop. I'm like, what are you talking about? I think he's joking. So I keep going, because he and I have a pretty good relationship, so I think he's just messing with me. So I keep walking, and he's not paying attention to me because he's fishing. And I get about 10 more yards. He's like, dude, seriously, stop, man. Dude, the fish sees you. I'm like, dude, I can barely see your head. There's no way this fish, the base of these cattails, can see me. I mean, there's like so much stuff between me and the fish. And I'm still walking, and he finally just said, dude, he thinks you're a giant raccoon. Stop. I'll stop, because I don't know what to do to that. I'm a giant raccoon. You telling me this fish thinks I'm a giant raccoon? And I really don't know if he's tapped into the fish enough to know that that's what the fish thinks. So I'm like, all right. I went back and got in the boat.
There's not a doubt in my mind that man has like a force connection with the fish. I mean, he just like sticks his hands out and can feel them.
Yeah, he doesn't understand it, but he doesn't have to. He just catches
it. Yeah.
That's so crazy.
Hey, dude, the other day, I swear, and I told David Mullins this. He texted me and was asking me about some fish I caught. And I told him, I said, dude, I was following the loons. He said, bullshit. I said, no, I was following the loons, and wherever the loons would dive, that's where the bait fish are at. And he was like, no way. I was like, oh, yeah, I would watch the loon go down on the graph into the bait fish. And as soon as I would drop that thing, and I would catch a smallmouth.
That's awesome.
And I was following the loons around, wherever the loons would go, because the bait fish were moving. Well, so were the smallmouth. They were just chasing the bait fish in this pocket, right? They're like 35 foot of water. Wherever the loons would dive, I mean, the loons know where the bait fish are at, so why not follow them? They're the ultimate fishermen in the world. So I was just following them around, catching fish.
It's funny because I did that earlier this year, and I thought I was going insane. Like, I would literally, I'd see a loon, and I'd flip over by it and catch a fish, and then the loon would, like, swim another 30 feet. So I'd zoom over to it on the trolling motor, and I'd flip like right next to the loon again and catch another fish. I mean, it sounds silly, but I've seen it happen
Man,
too.
at this point, you do whatever you can and you say whatever you can say to catch fish. I mean, that's all the time people are like, what's your favorite way to catch them, and and I mean, I have things that if I could catch them doing it all year, that's what I do. It's like a frog. Frog fishing is the funnest crap in the whole entire world. And if you could catch 10 pounders every day, you could go frog fishing. But like at this point, I mean, if it means loons diving on bait fish and I got to drop something vertically on top of them to catch a 4-pound smallmouth, I'm going to follow loons around and vertically fish all day to catch a 4-pound smallmouth. So,
Dude, you say you're in Tennessee, Alex?
yeah, I'm living near Knoxville.
There's not a lot of water, to my recollection, because I was at Kentucky Lake, and I said, I'm supposed to go fish somewhere, because I had like a day before the elite started, and I started driving south, and it was like an hour to get down to this little lake. I'm trying to think of what it was called, but you mentioned frog fishing. Yeah, that was some of the best frog fishing I've ever had.
Really?
I caught I lost one about 6, and I caught 4 in the 4-pound range. It was probably the biggest bag on a frog other than Gunnersville I'd ever caught. I'm trying to think of the name of the place.
That'd be below Paris, probably. That's like Middle Tennessee.
It's here it is. There's like 6 lakes right next to each other, and they told me that I met a guy at Redbug Lake, Dogwood Lake,
Redbud,
Cedar Lake.
Yeah.
I met a guy down there at the boat ramp, a couple of old guys, Browns Creek Lake, and he said that they have tournaments, and you can drive to any of those 6 lakes, but you got to come back to the lake that I happened to pick out of the 6 to let your fish go and weigh your fish and all, which is illegal in Alabama. Like, you can't transfer fish from one fishery to the other. But they would. So apparently this little lake was a hammer hole, but it wasn't very big. I'm trying to think of the name of it.
Dude, there's so many lakes, like right below Kentucky. There's a bunch of like old little dams that the TVA built just to make money back in the 30s. Because you had like your major dams that dammed up the Tennessee River system. Well, then they did a bunch of small projects. So there's so many small lakes right there in Middle Tennessee that there's no telling.
Yeah, there's a lot of them right there around Natchez Trace. But anyway, I was going to tell you about it because it's a fun little place to fish whenever they're biting a frog. They were biting a popping frog that day. God, it was fun, dude. It was like dollars.
That's awesome.
It was nasty.
That's awesome, man. There's a lake near me, Mountain Hill. It's a power plant lake, but it's Norris Lake pours into it, and it's just pretty much a river channel is all it is. And dude, they're letting the grass grow in there, and from the time like the grass got up until the time the grass died, I was catching frogfish, and it was just a blast. And none of them were huge, but I mean, it was just 2-3 pounders. You could pull in a pocket, and if one would blow up, there would be 5 more sitting there with it, and it's just been a blast. I love it.
I made a video. It's called Beach Lake, BEECH, Beach Lake. I made a video on it called Breaking Down New Water, and I got all them fish catches. I only got the 6-pound loss too. It was miserable right at the boat. But anyway, I made a video called Breaking Down New Water, and it's like 15 minutes long because all of it was good stuff. It was like I'd catch a 4-pounder over here, catch a 4-pounder over there. But anyway, that place, if you ever want to drive somewhere, I don't know how far it is from. You say you're in Knoxville?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably a couple hours. But if you ever want to go somewhere and do something, it may be more than that, dude. Nashville's
like 2.5 from me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, because I know Paris is like 5 hours from here because you got to get off on those back roads, and then it's just like a winding mess to get to Paris at the boat ramp there in Kentucky.
It's probably 4 hours. Knoxville, that's on that Fort Loudon.
Yeah. Loudon, Douglas, Cherokee, that's all our kind of close lakes.
We fished Fort Loudon for a national championship one time. First FLW one they had at college national championship. It was I really like that lake. Do you like that lake?
Yeah, I love it, man. It's right now this time of year it's so far down it's kind of dangerous to fish just because they jerk the water out of it. But come March, April, dude, it's a hog fest. All the big ones move up. Yeah. It's awesome.
We were there in April, and the week we were there, it was real tough. They were kind of on main lake points, kind of moving into pockets and moving into creeks and stuff. We led day one with like, it was a 6-fish limit back then. It was weird. You and your partner could both bring 3 fish to the scales. Day one, we had like 6 fish for 16 something, and we led. Day 2, we bombed miserably and had 1 fish, and but we only fell to like 4th because it was so tough on day 2. And day 3, we caught 3 for like 11 something and finished 3rd. But it was you catch good fish, but then like the next week you could tell we was right on the cusp. The next week the tour came up there and they whacked them, dude. They were catching. There's one creek down there that we had caught a few in. That like Glenn Brown won that tournament. They came in there and just flooded the banks, and he was pitching bushes, and he just worked his way around this creek. It was behind a little bridge, and just stroked them. And I was thinking, man, it would have been nice for us to be there a week later.
Yeah, that's the thing about a lot of these lakes around here is there's like windows of opportunity, and like you know when you live around here, you kind of get used to, and when I follow my notes from last year, you kind of figure out when the windows of opportunity are. But like this year, we had a week where the shad spawn, the bass were spawning, some were finishing spawning, going post spawn, and then we had a full moon. And I mean, Loudon was it was a hammer fest. You could not, every fish you hooked into was 4 pounds or better. And I mean, it was just Nichols pulsator, riprap, and like those old nothing banks that they get on and spawn and just blast, man. And it's just those windows of opportunity. And when you can hit them, dude, it is so much fun.
Don't that make you just beat your head against the wall? Like, where do those fish go? How are there that many fish in a fishery and you can catch like 1 2 weeks later?
Yeah. I don't know. It's crazy, man. That's what amazes me is, and then like Loudon shuts down. Like after about May, dude, you can just kiss it goodbye because it gets so hot. I mean, the surface water temperature will be 91, 92 degrees, and you can't catch a fish. And then there's so many boats out there. There's those big cruisers. All the UT alumni get out there in their 40-foot, 50-foot cruisers, and I mean, dude, you'll beat yourself to death trying to catch a fish.
I may give up a little secret honey hole for you. I don't know, but it's probably not anybody fishing or lives right there around you. But have you ever fished those little trash collector places right there? I was down there for practice in March, and it was cold. And it had a warm rain that ran it was sunny that day, and like all the rain, I'm guessing, was on all the concrete, just ran down in there. So that water coming out of the spillway deal right there below Knoxville, right there, one of those trash catcher places.
Yeah.
I caught like 15 pounds in that one pipe. They were loaded. I said, I'm going to pull up here and see if I can catch a dink. You know, and I throw up there and it's like a 4-pounder. I throw up there and it's a 6-pounder. I said, oh my God.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, man, there's little honey holes all like up through there, man. Like there's some of those places you can get back in and it'll get like a foot deep and you think, oh God, I'm about to bottom out the boat, and then it'll drop off into 5 and you'll go find some culvert runoff or something and there'll be, 20 of them stacked up in there and you can just go slam on them.
I really enjoyed that fishery. It was fun.
It's got a little bit of everything, man. I mean, you can run up all the way into Knoxville, like past the stadium and all that, and fish the grass and the bends of the river and stuff, and punch mats and frogfish, or you can go all the way down to Tellico and drag a jig in 30 foot of water and catch them. I mean, it's just whatever you want to do. Everything else in between.
Yeah, that's a fun place.
What year was it that Jake Gibson won back-to-back? Were you fishing?
Yeah, that was he won Loudon that year, and he won Kentucky Lake the next year. We finished 3rd both years. Jake's a good dude. He's my lawyer now. He's one of my best buddies. He was really smart, and he got a law degree, and I'm selling T-shirts. So I don't know. Maybe it'll work out.
A lot less stressful to sell T-shirts, man.
Yeah, he had a rough week last week, so I can imagine he's proofreading all the how to fish new rules and everything for next year. So he sent me an email on that a while ago. But yeah, he's a good dude. He's a hammer. That joker. I mean, to win, he won the regionals both years too. So he won 2 regional championships, 3-day tournaments, and 2 national championship 3-day tournaments back to back. That's pretty nice.
One of the things that amazes me, and I've talked to several guys about this, and I've talked to some pros about this too, is the finding the fish. Anybody can find fish. You know, I mean, we can all go find fish. It's to find fish and stay on fish for 4 days.
Yeah.
That's what amazes me about it. Is like, you know, 2 days, yeah, 3 days, like that's pretty amazing. But 4 whole days of staying on fish and catching fish consistently is just kind of mind blowing. So when you got guys that go and just blow out tournaments 4 days in a row, it's just kind of crazy.
Rick Flung said it one time. I wasn't interviewing him. Somebody was standing there and somebody was interviewing him, but he said, if you got one pattern, you can do good for a day. You got to have 2 patterns to cash the check and 3 patterns to have a chance, because everything changes so fast. You know, over a 4-day period, especially in Alabama, you can have all 4 seasons in 4 days, and that's not a joke. It can be 25 degrees one day. It's going to do it this week. It was a high of 37 yesterday. And no, 32. I mean, it never got above freezing yesterday. And then Monday, it's supposed to be 75. So you go back and forth. So anyway, he said one pattern, you can do pretty good. You know, you might not cash a check. 2 patterns, you can get you a check. 3 patterns to have a chance. And he's done more than, you know, the majority of them out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, the weather is, I mean, like, you're right. It's nuts. I mean, like, was 0 last night, and it's going to be like 10 tonight, but Friday it's supposed to be 65.
Global warming.
Like, yeah, global warming, yeah. Yeah, that's what it is. That's right.
I'm not racist for saying go Trump, am I? I don't know.
No, not at all. That's pretty much, yeah.
Trump.
Yep.
Hey, get him in there. I hope he straightens some crap out.
Me too.
Give him a chance anyway.
That's right.
You know you screwed up some stuff whenever Trump is a legitimate option. Legitimate replacement for you.
Yeah.
Screwed the pooch.
Screwed the pooch. That is right. Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
Anyway, not to dive too far into politics, but yeah.
That's right. Whew. We're already talking fishing, man. We don't need to get politics involved.
Where y'all go to church? Let's get on to the religion.
So here's a question for you, because a lot of guys, and myself and Alex included, we've started getting into the Swimbait game a little bit. Have you gotten into it at all down there in Alabama?
Yeah, and it's something I don't tell anybody about around here. Like if I catch a good one on video, it's just like for me and 2 buddies to watch and be like, oh, that was fun. Because it's something nobody does around here. Matt Peters, I don't know if y'all remember him, but Southern Swimbaits, he came down to a couple of lakes, 3 or 4 lakes in South Carolina and Tennessee, Raven, and 2 or 3 of them that's just right there on top of each other. There's one catch magnum spots out of. Help me out here, Alex. You know what I'm talking about? It's up there. Where?
Lake Lanier?
No,
Where's it at?
It's a little lake in the north east corner of Tennessee or southwest corner of South Carolina. No, it's Georgia. Georgia's where it is. It's not in Tennessee. But anyway, it's in Georgia. Raven and 2 or 3 other little fisheries up there. If y'all have never seen it, you need to go watch the Southern Swimbait stuff. It's sick. But he got on these little lakes up there that they had put trout in. So he went and just stroked them where nobody had ever thrown a swim bait. And he did southern trout eaters, southern swim baits. And anyway, he's from California. He brought all that out here. But I kind of learned from him a little bit. I don't throw, I've been throwing an 8-inch Hudson out here trying to get a bite on it, but I hadn't got anything on it yet. But, it's one of those things that's so addictive. Y'all know that once you throw it for like 10 minutes, you're like, I'm going to get a bite on this. And like 4 days later, you're like, God, that is exhausting. I can't believe I hadn't had a bite. I throw a triple trout a little bit and a Hudson a little bit, but I haven't really delved into a bunch of the other brands and all. A lot of the glide bait stuff I haven't done. There's one that I got that's I can't even remember what it is, but I've gone up and fished with, y'all know Brad Rutherford from Young Harris. Y'all know him?
Mm-mm.
He was one of the guys that helped Matt on that video. He's about my age, a little bit younger. But Matt put together a whole 2-hour documentary, Southern Swimbait deal. So anyway, I went up there and fished with him some. Burton is the name of that other lake where they catch a magnum spots is Burton.
Okay.
Never heard of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I got one word for you. If you want to catch a big swimbait fish, mag draft.
Yeah.
You need to get you one, dude. The dang on thing, it's special. I don't know what the deal is about it. It's just, there's something special about that bait. It's a hammer.
Zaldane's a good buddy of mine. He smoked him on that thing on it was one of the wasn't Lake of the Ozarks. It was Bull Shoals this year. He smoked him on it on Bull Shoals. But he was throwing, aren't there different sizes, like a 5, 6, 7 or something like that?
There's a 6, 8, and 10.
I think he was to catch him on a 6. What size did you throw?
8 and a 10.
Yeah,
man.
Big. Oh, big.
Yeah, man. I tell you, dude, around here, it's one of those things that's like, I don't really have to worry about it because ain't nobody going to fish it.
No.
Like, I show up at the boat ramp with that thing and people laugh at me. I'm like, all right, y'all keep laughing. That's fine. I don't give a crap. I'll show y'all. And I mean, I on Cherokee this year, I caught within 10 casts of each other, I caught 2 5s and a 6 on an 8-inch mag draft. Where everybody else was out there throwing, little stuff, and they're catching them. But I mean, dude, there's just something about when they fall up right up next to the boat and that thing goes to turn up to swim up to the boat. Oh my God. And they just crush it. It's awesome.
Yeah. I've thrown a rat. Have y'all ever thrown a rat much, like a wood rat?
Yeah, I got a BBZ one that I've thrown. I've not got a bite on it. I got a muskie to follow it all the way to the boat, but that's it.
Yeah, I throw the wood El Raton, wood one, and knocks real good.
Yeah.
And anyway, I got a couple of those, and man, that's the fun bite. Like you're talking about, they'll just hammer that thing right at the boat or way out on the end of the cast. And a lot of times too, they just suck it down. Like I think this, it's with the tail and all, it's probably like 10 inches long, 12 inches long, but the body's only like 6 inches. But I swear, I think that they think the hooks are its feet because they'll come up and just pull it down, and then all they'll get is the hooks. Like I won't even know I had a bite. I'll just be fishing along and I'll be talking or whatever, and I just feel tension and I look up and there's nothing. The bait's gone. I swear, I think they think it's its feet and they're trying to drown it because I don't know why else they hit the darn hooks and nothing else. They just ease up and pull it down.
Is
I got
that the
videos too, but I never posted those.
Is that the rat that
Frank?
that guy won the college fishing? Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good buddy of mine, and I was actually shooting him that day when he won. I was shooting his picture for bass, but but I've been friends with him for 8 or 9 years back in the college days, and he's a good dude. He won on that in a drop shot. It was like the two, end of he's from California. Tom is so. He would drop shot for a limit, and he'd throw that rat. And all it is wolf pack fish. We've all seen it now. 5 years ago, it wasn't really that popular, but everybody's kind of caught on to it now. And he'd just see a pack of fish going down the bank, throw it out there in front of them, and they'd hit a brick, But that thing's so realistic, and it knocks so nasty. So you can catch some fish just fishing it over treetops and stuff. But over there, whenever he won, he's primarily he could have thrown a topwater of any sort over there. A lot of other kids was catching one of the topwaters, but he just happened to get like 2 or 3 of the right bites in the right area.
That's pretty cool. Did you cover Jordan and Matt when they won?
Yes. Let's see. I covered them 2 or 3 times. I covered Jordan and Shane the next year. When Matt won, I was not there. I think it was a year before I started working with them. I was working with, I don't know, there's some reason I did. Oh, I think I had a tournament. I was fishing or something, or another tournament I was working or something. Okay. Anyway, I covered the next year when Jordan qualified. He and Shane, it was so wild because, like, the first year, Matt and Jordan made it all the way through the 8-man bracket and had to fish against each other. Well, the next year they asked me, it was Hank Weldon was up there, and he's like, Shay, what do you think? How do we prevent this? You think we ought to just go ahead and have them fish against each other in the beginning? I said, no, dude, it's the best story. They both make it again. So
right.
the world. He put them on the opposite ends, and they ended up, Shane and Jordan made it back and had to fish against each other in the head-to-head, and Jordan won. It was bizarre. You know, you couldn't have written a better story. But yeah, that kid, Jordan Lee, is the best I've seen, period, in my lifetime. Like, you know, from seeing him up close, and I've seen all of them, but for his age group, that dude is unbelievable. Justin Lucas is really good, obviously, and then Brandon Pollitt, but they're both a little older. But Jordan, I mean, I don't see him slowing down. You know, he's gonna be something special.
He was fishing with AP this summer I guess it was October on Gunnersville, but I guess AP was telling him about these smallmouth from up here, and I'm going to try to get Joe to come up here this fall and catch some with me.
Yeah, he needs to do that. Place is. I'm still sick. We didn't get to come up, but figure out this year.
Yeah.
Place.
That's my main goal this year, is to get up there with Ben and catch some of the smallmouth this time. It is. It's just absolutely insane. I mean, like, you know, I did a goals video. I had like my 2017 goals or whatever, and one of them is to catch a 6-pound smallmouth. And I'm sitting here, and it's not like, you know, man, I don't think I can do it, or it's going to be hard work. No, I'm just going to go up there and fish with Ben and catch like 5 of them in a row. You know, it's no big deal whatsoever.
That's all it's going to take. Yeah.
Right. And, you know,
it's like bluegill fishing with crickets. I mean, you just know you're going to catch them. It's just a matter of time.
And so for those of you guys that don't know, Shay and I were working on a project this fall, and I went out, and it was kind of when you were on the fence of whether or not you'd be able to make it up here.
Yeah.
And literally the day before you guys were making the decision, I went out and I blew my motor. And I texted you, I'm like, dude, I'm glad you're not coming up here because I don't have a boat anymore.
Yeah, that was a bad deal. But we weren't going to be able to make it anyway. It's just logistics of it. You know, the idea was fantastic, and we were all about the idea. But then once you try to get 4 people up there, and it was like, man, this is going to cost some money. And everybody's like, I got to take off work, and that costs some money. And then, you know, first one thing another. So it was like, I just don't think we'll be able to pull it off. But not that it's a good thing that you blew up your motor, but I'm glad I didn't have to watch you catch another 100 pounds of smallmouth.
That's insane. That's insane.
Yeah, that was our goal, was 4 days consecutive. So it would have been a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Tried to catch 100 pounds. And, yeah.
I mean, there's not a doubt you can do it. After what I've seen this year, like that first, like I remember it was funny. It was like the middle of this year before I cast. You got my attention by catching like some monster smallies. You like mix it in with some musky catches or something like that. Yeah. And like the thing was, is like I was watching the video, and you like just boat flip like a 5.5 pounder, and I was like, what in the world? Like, what is this dude doing? And then the next fish is like a 6 something. I'm like, oh my God, what? Like this dude's nuts. Who is this? And then like the next video he put out was like 27 pounds of smallmouth, and I was like, what the? And I was like, I'm on here. I'm like emailing and texting. I'm like, who is this guy? I gotta have his number. Like, what is this? This is insanity.
Dude, and the funny thing is, I didn't really start getting on them like really, really good until last fall. So I've been out there in, I probably was out there 14 or 15 times last year. But until like the 13th trip, I didn't really get on them. And then I went onto this spot that I'd found this this ball of perch, and that's what you look for. You look for bait. And I'm like, well, I'll make a couple casts to it. Well, I have that Panoptics, and I found one strand of grass, legitimately one strand of grass coming up. And I looked out to the Panoptics.
We're taking it seriously. We're just having a dog off over here. My dog's bigger than your dog. Come here, Sam. Yeah. I can put you in my lap.
Sam's like, oh my God, be careful with me.
Oh, she's in my ear. I kind of like it.
My dog is a baby.
All right, but anyway, Panoptics.
But yeah, dude, I made one cast to that grass, cranked down like 3 times, and loaded into a 6. Like, it was just over 6. And I didn't even have the net out at this point. I was just doing some underwater video for 6 cents. And so I'm like fumbling for the net. Eventually, I just like scooped this thing in the boat. Well, 2 casts later, I caught a 6.9, and it was like right at the boat, dude. It was like I was cranking back, and I kind of look over my shoulder, and the next thing I know, I'm lifting the crankbait out of the water, and it just like rips the rod back down. So all I do is I have it on a 7.6, like heavy, crank down and just turn and flip the fish in the boat. And that's that giant that you see me just boat flipping is the 6.9. Because he hit it so good, but I didn't know how big he was till he got him in the boat. And that's the first
insanity.
This is what happens every time I'm working. I crawls under the gap of the desk here, and it's like it's all up in my grill. Sam, go. I've had her locked out the whole time. Then I saw your puppy, and I was like, no way, I didn't know we get to bring puppies.
If I show you guys my dog, you guys would laugh. It's just a little baby Shih Tzu.
GC here is only going to get like 4 pounds at his biggest. I mean, this is full grown right here. He's a mess. He's got this new thing going where we got like an upstairs and a downstairs, and he runs downstairs as hard as he can, licks you in the face, and then runs back upstairs as hard as he can. That's like his new thing now.
I had a question for you.
Yeah.
What do you do when you mix a bulldog with a Shih Tzu?
Got bullshit.
What do you do when you mix an elephant with a rhino?
I don't know.
Elefino.
That's that redneck humor for you right there.
Hey, if we ever do this again, I'll have the same 2 jokes. That's what I do.
And that's all right. I will too.
Yeah.
I'll have to steal yours.
Get rid of the pup.
Sorry, y'all. I'm getting a log for my fire. I'm not being cold. I'm gonna keep my fire good and going.
How you doing? I saw. Hey, how you doing? Got the Foo Fighters on the wall. Got the fish back there on the wall.
That's right. Got my fish poster or my fish hanging up. My Foo Fighters poster.
Who's the missus over here on the couch, man? What's up?
Say hi, Bethany.
Hi.
That's Bethany.
How you
She's
doing?
my girlfriend. She says she's good.
I just realized because you got your headphones on, I've been messing with her and she could not hear me.
Oh, I listened to everything you said.
Yeah, I was trying to jack with her. She just like totally ignored it. I was like, well,
Well, all right then. Yeah, she's my frog fisherman, man. She cracked me up this year. So I went and took her and caught her first frog fish, right? Well, she's jacked up, man. I mean, it's like a 2.5 pounder. Just blew up on the frog. It was like, just awesome frog fish, right? And so, like, it starts to get cold, and she's like, so when are we going frog fishing again? I was like, well, we can't until it warms back up and the grass comes back. And she was devastated because she, like, didn't get that, frog fishing only lasts a certain time of the year. She's like, so the grass is gone? I'm like, yeah, and it won't be back till next year. She was like, oh, man, come on, this ain't fair. I was like, so I've got her hooked on frog fishing now.
imagine like that's how we all feel when we look at Ben.
Yeah.
Water's gone. The water's gone for the whole year.
You know what's crazy is like you literally count down the days till you get open water again.
Open water is such a weird phrase to me. You just call it water. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's just water. It never freezes.
And you know what's
I think it's
crazy?
cold.
It's not like just these little lakes. Lake Huron will freeze over. So it's like these giant Great Lakes with no water.
dude, I remember like the 3 times a lake has had ice on it, and I'm not going to call it freezing over because it's like that thick. But I remember those days vividly because like I pulled up one time and it was snowing. It was snowing so hard I couldn't see the end of my cast. It was on Lake Martin. And I make a cast out and I'm like, it don't feel right. And I start reeling and it's like, it falls off in the water. And I'm like, oh my God, there's ice up there. And I almost died. A little bit of me died inside. You have to deal with that every day, and it's so thick up there. I see guys with their little drills, and they're like, I'm like, God, how far are they going to go?
Dude,
Like-
it got so bad one year. Like, it was about 2 years ago. I used to work at a tackle store. And you have your 4-foot auger, or whatever it is. I mean, I think it's 36 inches. So the ice got so thick, you had to get an extender because it was 36 inches thick. So you go down all the way to the actual motor. So you get a foot extension. And guys were hooking extensions to extensions.
Nah.
That's stupid. No, that's
All you
stupid.
got to do is put your truck in, point, get out of there, man.
Yeah.
But hey, you do catch 30 pounds of smallmouth in the summer, so hey, I can't,
I should be like a snowbird, go down to Texas or Florida during the winter and then come back up here during the summer.
Dude, that's what I've always said. If I was rich, what I would do is I would just follow the spawn and pre-spawn fish. I go up north and fish with Ben. I come down here and fish our fish, and then I go to Texas and I just complete the rotation just all year like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Josh says schools in Georgia are closed because of half-inch of snow. When you get a half-inch of snow here, that's like a joke. You're like, well, okay, whatever.
Dude, they shut Alabama down.
Yeah, our schools are closed tomorrow because of cold temperatures and like some ice on the road. Like there's a little bit of ice, but it's mainly just it's being so cold. And then they're like, nope, no school tomorrow.
No.
It's bad, dude.
You know, the guy who caught the Tennessee state record, that 15-pounder on Chickamauga, went on a day that school was closed. We had a snow day, and he's a teacher, and he went down there and he caught that state record on a snow day. It was pretty funny. I thought, you know, that's gonna be me one of these days because I'm gonna be out there, like we're gonna get out for school or something like that. And I'm just gonna be like, all right, see y'all later, and go catch a state record or something.
See, we do that in Alabama when the hurricanes are coming.
Yeah,
so that's the best time, dude. You go throw a buzzbait when there's a hurricane coming, you stroke them. Man, everybody else is like battering down the windows and getting ready. You know, it's gonna be bad. Me and Dad are out there just hammering on them. And then
hammering on with a buzzbait.
Yeah, you ain't got service on these little lakes around here. So we're out there monitoring the weather. You know, we couldn't care less. And then come about 6 o'clock, you're like, you know, I think it's darker than it should be. And we're like, we better get out of here. You go home and just get home in time to keep your crap from flying off. It's a snow day versus hurricane day. Hurricane party on the lake. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, no. I'll deal with my snow and thunderstorms.
Nah, dude. Hurricanes are the bomb. In Alabama, I mean, this far north in Alabama, a hurricane is just like a bunch of rain.
Yeah,
We had one bad hurricane one time because it had rained all before it, and then when the wind blew through it, just knocked down all kinds of trees because the ground was so wet. But you're not going to get like flooding and stuff like that. You know, that's the coast.
Yeah,
we're in a pretty good spot, except for when it's like 95 degrees for like a week straight in the summer.
Yeah,
I couldn't deal with that. I fished
middle
Pickwick.
lower Alabama in the summer is that's an oven, man. I mean, that's a real deal oven.
It's humid. That's the problem, dude. You're like chewing the air. You're like,
Yeah.
You know.
You walk outside and just immediately start sweating. I mean, it's like nothing. You don't even. You just have to walk out the door and you're drenched.
Yeah, but it's awesome. I can't deal with ice. I just can't.
Mm-mm.
I'm trying to go down to Texas in a couple weeks.
That'll be good. You need to just go to Florida. I can't stress to you how much you need to just go to Florida.
I know. If I had someone to go with, if I had someone to meet me down there and get me on a boat, I would go.
Let's go. I'm going next week. Challenge accepted.
Are you actually going next week?
Yeah, I don't decided. I can't take it. I looked at the weather a while ago and it's like 80 degrees. I can't. I just got to go. I hadn't gone all winter. I got to go.
What's next weekend?
I'm going to get.
I want to go to St. John's and fish, man. That's like my thing in Florida that I want to go do is go down there and fish the Kissimmee chain and all that and just go see all that.
My biggest problem with Florida is like you're talking about those places that you want to fish. I want to fish all them too, but I know Okeechobee and I know like 2 or 3 other places. And if I got like 3 days, I can't make myself. I want so badly to go fish those places. Then I'm like, no, I know where I can go, flip down here. I know where I can go do what I got to do down here to catch a big one. Yeah. So it's what you find a little, and it's that same. I'm that way everywhere. Like I got lakes around here I fish, and there's lakes I've never fished. But it's sure they're great fisheries, but I just want so badly to go back and relive in more hammer hole type spots,
Yeah.
So are you going, Ben? Have you planned out? Have you got your ticket yet?
If you're honest to God serious, dude, I'll meet you down there.
No, you won't.
I swear to God, I'll meet you down there.
All right, you got to check your camera gear. You gonna bring it?
I'll bring my camera gear.
All right, let's go. What day are you coming?
Honestly, you let me know what day you're going to be there, and I'll be down there.
I don't want to tell the public, man. The public's watching. Somebody might break into my house.
You text me.
Yeah, all 11 of the people here are going to drive all the way to your house to break in.
I just don't want, I don't have any curtains. I don't have any blinds. I'm pretty, dude, I'm in the middle of the woods. You bring a girl over this house, you know what she says? Take me home. Dude, you're in the middle of the woods, have no blinds, no curtains. They
hear banjos.
They're terrified. I'm like, oh my God, somebody can see you. I'm like, who can see you? Like, who's outside my house right now? I mean, John comes by every now and then, but he usually just passes by, No, who's out there? Nobody's out there. But anyway, all right. I'm looking at the calendar. I gotta go get the boat wrapped. I get done getting the boat wrapped on the 15th.
Okay.
That means I'm headed south. All right. Let me make sure I don't. Oh, that's on Martin Luther King's birthday or whatever it is. So that's good. It's a good time to go.
Mm-hmm. Like I could be down there the 19th through the 22nd.
Oh my gosh, that's so much further. No, all right, 19th through the what?
Like the 22nd.
All right, the 20th is inauguration day, so we're gonna have to go somewhere and watch old Trump get in. Let's see. Dude, I can go because here's the problem. Once I go, I don't come back. Like the most exciting thing you'll ever do is head to Florida. The most depressing thing you'll ever do is go home. Like I cannot stand it. It's 10 hours to get down there for me. It's like 15 minutes. It's 10 hours to get back. It's like 6 days. Like I'm so sad driving home. So like if I get down there, I'm gonna take my laptop. I'm pretty much good. Like I can work from anywhere. I'm not coming back. I'm telling Mom to ship some shirts for me. Yeah,
just bring them with you. We'll go down to the local post office and ship them.
There you go. God, that's so tempting. I'm going.
I know. No, for real though. If you go, I will get a ticket. Let me know as soon as you can, and I'll get a ticket to come down.
I'm going. Let's go. What if you get like snowed in or whatever? And you can't fly out because you got all that snow. See the quotations? Like I don't believe in snow.
Oh, we'll be okay. We'll find a way out. We'll find a way down there.
That puffy white devil will hold him down.
If you can bring a rod and some tackle for me, I'll bring whatever I can fit in my suitcase.
Oh, I'll have the rods, bro. I'll be ready to go. We'll be Fitzgerald out. I just got a bunch of new verses. I need to go down there and put a little flip by it. Oh, God. That felt so good just now. Oh.
Just the motion of flipping.
I just like
right roll the wrist.
It got tight like right here. I was just like, oh. Woo. All right,
this is the closest thing I've done, and this is ice fishing, sitting on a bucket, freezing my butt off.
With a rod that long.
The rod's, yeah, it's about 24 inches long.
We're talking about 8-foot extra heavy rods. You're talking about 13-inch double light rods.
Like 24-inch ultralight with 2-pound test fluorocarbon.
Nope, I'm good.
When you catch fish longer than your rod, you have a problem.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, but it's just not good. It's not good for you. It's not healthy.
It's too cold, man.
Friends don't let friends ice fish.
Well, Kylie and I, she's like, what do you want to do today? She's like, we could go ice fishing or we could do something else. And my first thought was, God, as much as I want to produce good videos for you guys, I want to tell you guys, I want to go ice fishing. I hate it. I hate ice fishing.
You're a self-hating ice fisherman.
I hate ice fishing. And when your girlfriend asks if you want to go ice fishing and you say no, that's a bad thing.
That's when you know it's true, like unadulterated just hate for something.
The coolest thing is when you're down there in Florida with me in a couple of days and you're looking out there at that mat and you rip one out of it and you look out there and you think for a second, that's an ice fishing hole. And you realize it's not. That's like don't pitch back in that hole though. He's gone. I know how y'all do. Y'all just drop, catch him. That one fish is gone. You can't just pitch back in that hole. You got to move on to a new hole. All right.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
I'm going. Let's go.
No, for real. I mean, if you're going, I will try to get a ticket, and I'll let you know by tomorrow if I can get one.
Hey, Rudd, you going?
Who, me? Nah, man. I ain't got no money. That's my problem.
That's the
I'm
problem.
broke as a joke.
I don't either. I'm trying to figure out right now. I'm sitting here thinking, all right, I got a pretty good bit of change. I think that'll get me. I mean, what's the gas price in Florida? They're so bad. We just got to fill up some gas tanks before we leave from up here. We got gas to get back.
You gotta go use all the gas points from the grocery store. You gotta go use all the discounts and everything.
I just thought about something else, man. Tolls are a beast down there. You got like $24 tolls when you're towing a trailer.
Oh gosh.
Orlando. So, like, as far as coming and picking you up from the airport, I'm not doing that. Sorry.
I'll Uber over to you.
Yeah, Uber.
I'll tell you a scary story that I'm not too man to admit. So I went down on a cruise 2 years ago, and we were back at the airport. Well, we had like 4 or 5 hours to kill. So you walk outside the airport, and there are all these taxi cab drivers, right? And we were in Fort Lauderdale. So we go out, and there's this, okay, and this is not racist. This is just a fact. He was a black dude standing there.
Oh, now.
I feel uncomfortable with this conversation.
Okay, but
as soon as someone says it's not racist, that's when it just gets really super racist. Come on now.
So he was dressed real nice, and I figured he was a taxi cab driver. And he goes, "You need to drive somewhere." We told him we wanted to go to downtown Fort Lauderdale. So we walk into this parking garage and get in this dude's car, and he starts driving. And this is where I started getting scared. Instead of going out the area where you have to like pay your toll, he hopped a curb and went out the inn, so that way he wouldn't have to pay the toll.
Super.
And I'm like freaking out at this point. I look over at my girlfriend and I'm like, we should start taking directions on our phone in case something happens. We can like text them to someone. And my phone's at like 3%. Oh my God. I'm like panicking. I thought he was an Uber driver. Anyways, we, by the grace of God, made it to where we had to go. But I swear to God, I thought I was going to get killed. I thought I was done. Because he didn't have a credit card reader. He didn't have a credit card scanner. So, like, I got so lucky I had cash. Oh, dude.
Yeah, and
bro,
have a lot of.
Listen. All I'm saying is you can tell all the janky stories about riding around, but until you've rode around in the streets of Haiti in the back of an open air truck, there ain't nothing as scary as that. Okay.
Oh, I couldn't do that.
So down in Haiti, right? They got these trucks. They're called tap taps, and they call them tap taps because you smack on the side to get them to stop. And then you like pay the guy or whatever, you pay the driver. So like we're in the back of this truck, right? Open air, like dust's going up in my face, and we're going like this is after the earthquake, so the ground's like all uneven. This dude starts down this road, and the truck starts like this and just starts going and going and going and going. And at one point, I'm like looking around, like, oh crap, like this is where I die. This is it. I'm like praying, like, all right, Lord, I'm coming home. Like, this is it. I like grab across the truck. I'm like holding on to the seat across from me, and like the truck just keeps tipping and tipping and tipping. He's like, oh, don't worry, he knows how to drive. He's got it. I'm like, no, he don't. We're all gonna die. Finally, he like starts to level back out. But dude, those people down there, and like you'll go around a corner, they don't slow down. They just honk their horn. Like that's the international symbol for get the hell out of the way. We're coming. And it's and there they go, man. We're just right a corner, like 60 miles an hour in a huge truck. It's that place, dude. It's a jacked up place, man.
It's interesting. I went on a mission trip to Peru and had some similar deals like that. We rode a bus, and like there's a road in Peru called it's something like Death Road or something like that. That wasn't where we rode, thank God. But like all the roads down there are like going around mountains. Like you got to go around a mountain. There's nothing goes through a mountain because they didn't have the money to build that. So you're always like on the edge of a mountain, and you look down and there's like forever. And you look up and there's like a mountain, So you're riding and it's like you're talking about like just all right, I'm killing every now and then. Like, and I mean like every 2 miles, there'll be enough room for 2 cars. And that's like where you can go past each other. So you'll have a bus coming down the hill And if he's the closest to that little spot, he has to back up like 3/4 of a mile and get into that spot for the other car to come by, or the bus or whatever.
Yep.
And I'm like, dude, I gave it up. I was like, look, I know I hadn't been as good as I should have been. It ain't supposed to be about that. But let's just have a conversation right quick, and I'm gonna take a nap. Right. Dude, you're driving that road down there on a bus that we chartered, okay? And now we had a great week. We'd done some good, had a great mission trip. And I know we're there to help. But we're driving down a road in a bus we chartered, and people just keep getting on.
Yeah.
And I know you're
climbing on it.
There's the law down there that you cannot pass somebody. If they're on the road and they need a ride, you cannot leave them. That's like their law. Dude, we got to the airport with so many people on the dude, we were all standing. Every one of us were standing at this point. Like, people's legs are cramping and stuff. I mean, it was really, we went from first world problems to like, man, we're in a third world all of a sudden. We're just all standing like this, and it was bad. But we made it.
That's the way Haiti do. Like, everybody's just so nice to like everybody. Yeah. And like, so we just pick people up. And like, some dude just jump on the side, and he's like hanging off the side, just riding down there. And like, another truck would pass, he just like hug up next to the truck. And I'm thinking, that dude's about to die. And he's just over here, just like, whatever, man, just hugged up against the truck as this other truck passes him by like 1/4 of an inch. It's just, it's so crazy.
The worst part, the most bizarre deal was whenever we had a bathroom break. So I'm thinking rest stop, we get down here and we pull off on the side of one of those little places where you can get around each other. And anybody got to use the bathroom, go for it. So like, we all get off, and everybody gets off to stretch your legs and all anyway. So there's like 500 of us standing there. And I turn around, there's a woman squatting to pee. Like, right there. Like, right there. And I'm like, awkward. I'm like, I can hear it. I got to get away from this little pit. It was weird, dude. There's like guys just standing in the line.
Dude, I've seen babies be born in Haiti. I've seen women. I'm not kidding you. I got to tell this story just because it is like one of the greatest stories of all time. So we're in Haiti, right? And we're on a medical mission. And we have a doctor, all this stuff. Well, there's this lady that she's dead now, but she used to live down there. She had no legs, so she walked on her hands. Well, she had a daughter. Don't ask me how. She had a daughter that was pregnant. Well, showed up to the orphanage we were working at, and she was like in labor, like she's like having the baby, right? So the ladies that work at the orphanage bring her in and lay her down on the concrete, just in the middle of the orphanage, like open air orphanage, there's nothing sterile, just lay her down the concrete. And the lady goes to the back and gets peanut holes and boils them, right? And makes her drink them because apparently it like helps to get everything moving down there. Well, then she takes a spoon and comes walking up through this orphanage with this wooden spoon, and we're all looking at each other thinking, oh my God, like, what is she about to do with this thing? And she's like, we're all thinking like she's about to pry this baby out of this lady with the spoon. No, she opens this lady's mouth and takes that wooden spoon and shoves it down the back of her throat and makes her gag, and right when she gags, the baby comes out.
Wow.
Dude, I'm standing there like 15 years old, like, oh my God, what did I just see? Like, what is the world right now? But sure enough, little baby comes out, they smack it on the butt, clean it up, good to go. They wrap it up in a cloth, the lady walks back into the mountains with a newborn baby.
It shouldn't, but that reminds me of a Doritos commercial.
Dude, just like
y'all seen that commercial?
Yeah, it was just like that crap, dude.
It's awesome commercial, dude.
Dude, it was just so great. I mean, like, it's one of those that, like, that's one of those things I'll never forget. You know what I mean? It's just so awesome. Yeah,
Dang, that's crazy.
Took that wooden spoon and shoved it right down her throat. Here comes the baby.
Oh, man. That's so crazy. Roll Tide.
That's right. That's something. Lord of mercy, where's the time off?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Y'all ready to watch the game tomorrow night?
Oh, yeah, man, I am. It's going to be good.
Yeah, that's going to be good.
I actually think it's going to be a good game this time. I mean, Alabama's the best. I don't care. I mean, I'm a UT fan, but I'm not afraid to say Alabama's the best, and they'll be the best until they're not the best. You know what I mean? But I actually think Clemson will be able to give them a little bit of a run for their money.
Dude, Deshaun Watson, if they have, we're going to get into a football commentary. Hey, and for being, I know you're up north, we're talking about Alabama and Clemson playing college football.
Oh, wait.
Big pro teams and stuff, but
what's college football? Is that what U of M just sucked at this year at the end of the season?
Alabama is pretty much our NFL team, and they get paid better.
That's true. That's true.
No, but Deshaun Watson, if Alabama makes 2 mistakes late in the game, they lose. I think Deshaun Watson is good enough to keep them in the game. And where they usually pull away from people in the fourth quarter, if they can keep it tight to the fourth quarter and Alabama screws up, they'll win.
Yeah.
Because they played like crap the other day, but old Kiffin's out of the way now. So, yeah.
Dude, the Kiffin dude is he is a walking disaster. That dude just tears up everything in his path.
The worst thing about him is he's unpredictable. And the best thing about him is he's unpredictable. They don't know what defense to call because they're like, who knows what the frick he's going to call? That was the one thing about him. You have no clue. Where if it was me, I would run the ball, and then I would run the ball, and then I would run the ball, and then I'd put a fresh running back in, and I'd run the ball. That's all that's all they got to do is run that one boy, 37, whatever, Harris, all first half, and then put old Big Bo in there and just let him run it down their throats, man. And if they think they can stop him, put that jumbo package in where you got like Jonathan Allen and 4 other linemen blocking for him in the backfield, where those guys, they never get to take 3 steps. And they're like, holy crap, I get to make 3 steps before I hit somebody. They're plowing through. I mean, it looks like Moses out there just plowing through.
Splitting them, yeah.
And Bo's like walking backwards to it, man. He's just like knocking it down. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that's a game. I don't know how we talked about Moses. Somebody giving birth with a wooden paddle. Big smallmouth. Going to Florida. We've covered pretty much everything tonight.
Yeah, today has been everything.
Yeah. Dude, every live stream turns into this. Who are we kidding? I mean, there's no telling what's going to be discussed when we get on here together and start talking.
Today might have been the most crazy, though. Today we might have covered the most topics, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
I think the wildest thing we talked about, Wednesday was an awesome live stream, too. But I think the craziest thing we talked about was just what kind of dogs we had.
Yeah.
There were so many questions, man. There were so many questions on Wednesday.
Yeah, there was. People were killing it. Well, does anybody got any questions? I mean, like, we've been sitting here jib-jabbing, just having a good time, being pals. Is there any legitimate questions out there?
One question that just came through is, why do I use an underspin or a swim bait instead of using a swim jig? And for me, a swim jig versus a swim bait or an underspin are 2 different things. A swim jig for me is thrown around grass or shallow cover, whereas a swim bait, and don't get me wrong, you can throw a swim jig. It gives it a little bit wider profile. You can throw that for those big smallmouth. But for me, I'm throwing in that open water. I want something that looks super natural, give them a slim profile, and that's why I go with an underspin or a standard swim bait. So that's my question to that question, or that's my answer to that question.
Somebody asked what our favorite frog is. Mine's a Nori's NF60. It's a Japanese-made frog. That frog has the highest hookup ratio of any frog, but they're really expensive. They're $15 a piece, but it's worth it in my opinion.
Shay, what kind of frog do you throw?
I throw the KVDs. I throw a Spro. I'll throw a bunch of frogs just because I love frog fishing. Like, I'm sitting here listening to him thinking about what's that Northeast, and I'm kind of curious about that. But I just love frogs. So, but probably the most I'll throw a frog is the Spro popping frog, just because I do a lot of stuff with it. And I fish a lot of mayfly hatches out here in Alabama, so a lot of people throw poppers in them. I think a popping frog is a little bit more subtle. If they miss it, they'll come back and get it more often than they will a hard popper. I think they come up and see the hooks and all. They won't come back as often as they will on a popping frog. So I just like it. You can walk it still, or you can pop it. So it just gives you a little bit more options to me.
Yeah.
I'm going to answer this question real quick because this poor dude's asked it about 14 times and I've just not answered it yet. Tennessee River system in the mid-March. What part of the Tennessee River system? Because it is going to vary very drastically from the headwaters all the way down to Kentucky. But around here, like close to where I'm at, I'm going to be throwing probably a trap, rattle trap, lipless crankbait, whatever you want to call it, probably a small body crankbait. Just really kind of beating the banks and seeing if I can get a bite that way. If I can't get a bite that way, I might go check some offshore stuff. It's all really dependent on the water temperature. I mean, it's going to be really fluctuating that time of year because it can either be getting really warm or it can still be getting cold here. So it's all just dependent on water temperature and where you're at and all that kind of stuff. But most likely the water's going to look like chocolate milk. So you're probably going to throw something with some bright color to it.
Someone asked a question, what's the difference between the Daiwa DXS and DXSB?
I
don't know.
My rod's my rod's the DXS Swimbait rod. Is that what the SB stands for?
That might be.
Well, if it's the extra heavy for the DX Swimbait rod, it's rated for 3 to 10 ounces. Where the extra heavy, the other one's it's just like a flipping stick.
Yeah.
10 ounces. God.
Yeah.
What does a mother weigh? A mother's right around 10 ounces, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Mother's 10 and some change. Yeah. That rod, though, truthfully, they said like 8 ounces is the max on it.
Okay.
Like 10's kind of overshooting it. But they make it extra heavy.
If I'm throwing an 8-ounce bait, then, geez, old Pete's. It's a big bait.
Dude, so I've been sitting here thinking this whole live stream, you know how I was planning on getting the 262?
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to get a 262. I think I'm going to wait on the 262 and I'm going to get I'm going to get like a mag slow and another mag draft and maybe a Huddleston. Just like get 3 or 4 cheaper swim baits instead of just investing in one big one right now. Because I've got an eye slot. And I mean, I've not even caught one on my 185. I don't think I should get a 262 until I catch one on my 185.
Or even go with that dual hardcore.
Yeah, because that thing apparently, dude, is like awesome. Like it's like, I don't know. Apparently it's the juice, but I don't know. We'll just have to throw it and see.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing a little punching next week.
How heavy a weight do you throw down there?
In that wild card, I actually caught him on 2 1/4.
Oh my gosh.
Golly.
I was punching stuff I think that nobody else was really punching because like at the end of that tournament, and that was just like when I went out with that guy on that other lake, we were just punching an ounce and a half at biggest, you know. So usually just an ounce. But what ended up happening there is I was punching stuff that was super thick. So I just put on the biggest thing I had, which was 2 1/4. I actually went and bought it that night. And whenever it was all said and done, Chad Morgan won. And he and I were the only 2 that were punching a 2 1/4 ounce weight. I finished 3rd. So apparently there was something to it. We were fishing stuff that other people couldn't get through, you know, with the ounce weight. But typically just an ounce is plenty. It just depends on what you're flipping.
Yeah, that's
Shay needs to check out Beast Coast.
Yeah.
That needs to be on his radar for sure this year.
Beast Coast?
Yeah, Beast Coast Tungsten and Tackle. It's a company that me and Ben both work with, and they're offering tungsten direct through the website, and it cuts out all the middlemen. So you can go on there and you can buy whatever weight, color, and quantity that you want. You're not like shelled into buying a certain quantity. So like EcoPro sells one ounce tungsten weight for like $15. Well, Beast Coast, you can buy 1 or 10 tungsten weights, and they're only like $7 because we cut out the middlemen for all that stuff. Now he does have some stuff on Tackle Warehouse. I like the Miyagi swimmer and the swim jig and the flipping jig and all that, but it's all 97% tungsten. It's super clean pores. And dude, it is literally the highest quality tungsten money can buy, and it's stupid cheap.
I'm on here looking at it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Now the terminal tackle is only directly through the website. That's how we keep it so cheap.
I need to get some of them drop shot weights. Ew. Things like that.
That's what I told him. I said, send me some of those.
Ugh.
Dude, and it's crazy sensitive. It was nuts the other day. I was fishing a drop shot with one of those, and I put the freaking drop shot weight in the water, and I could feel the turbulence off the trolling motor through my rod. Like I could feel the humming off the trolling motor. I was just like, this is stupid. You can feel everything with it.
Yeah, that's nuts. I've never actually thrown a tungsten drop shot weight. I just have never. So I'm excited about it.
It's unaffordable, but now looking at this, I mean, you can afford to do it.
Yeah.
I never did it either because it was unaffordable.
Yeah, for me, it's like if I want to buy a 5-pack of tungsten drop shot weights, I'm spending $10.
But I mean, the problem with me buying like bulk tungsten is like I got like an ounce and a half weight that I've had for like 6 years. You know, like you don't lose many of them. The only time you ever lose them is a mudfish. Them sharp teeth grab it and break your line, cut your line. You know. But I am the kind of guy too that would buy like 400 tungstens just to have them, just because I'm completely prepared. I'm a tackle junkie. Like I'll buy a bunch of stuff and then I'll be like, I need to put this on eBay and get rid of it, and then I'll sell it all, and then I'll buy some more. I really like tackle. I don't have a wife or kids. I have a house, but you know, I have a little bit of expendable money, and it all goes into tackle.
That's how I am right now. Someone asked if I slay those smallmouth like that all summer. I did pretty good last summer, and I'm gonna spend 95 to as much time as I can this year on those smallmouth.
Jealous.
What type of jerkbaits do I use? I throw 6 cents. I throw a Lucky Strike, which is the Megabass knockoff, and I throw the Rapala Shad Wrap Shad, the Shadow Wrap. And deer hunting around here is not that great. Not where I'm at.
You want to go deer hunting? You want to go deer hunting? Shay, where Shay lives, that's the mother lode down there.
Man, I've dodged more deer than I've ever shot at. I've never shot at a deer, so it's pretty easy to say that, but it's bad. I have people who look at me like I don't believe in God because I've never shot a deer. It's bad.
That's funny.
People really get frustrated with me. And I'm like, dude, look, I knew at a young age I was not going to be able to be any good at either if I poured money and time into both. You know, I just couldn't do both. So I went fishing because I like fishing. I know I would love hunting. That's why I don't do it.
My favorite part about fishing is I can stand on the front of the boat. I can make as much noise as I want to. I can eat crackers and fart around and act like an idiot and just whatever, and I still catch fish. Whereas I'm deer hunting, I got to sit perfectly still in a tree stand or in a ground blind. And the thing about fishing is too, dude, compared to if you don't consider the boat, because you know obviously your boat's the most expensive part of your fishing stuff, but like it's relatively cheap compared to hunting. I mean, I've got a $300 tree stand hanging out in the garage that I've not used in 2 years. Like, it's just ridiculous, the initial investment on it.
And as far as the challenge, I've never hit a bass driving my truck.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, if I had a bass standing in the middle of the road and I got to go around it to keep from killing it, I don't think killing it would be that impressive. And if I had a fishing rod that could throw 400 yards directly into a fish's mouth, like a rifle can shoot a deer from, it's just like none of this. Once you get it dialed in, I mean, like, what are you doing? You just sitting there waiting for a cow to walk by. You know, I'm not trying to knock hunting here because I'm sure I'll get a lot of hate mail over this. I'll get like a hate message in a minute, but it's just like. Now, bow hunting is something bow hunting and turkey hunting were two things I would have really gotten into because it's a lot more complicated and a lot more stealthy. And like, I got an uncle that loves hunting like we love fishing, me and my dad. And people get pissed at me about this. He's got like a 4,000 acre private reserve that he manages that I could have gone hunting on 3 days a week if I wanted to. Still could. People, I grew up high school and college, people hated me because I didn't hunt over there. And I'm like, dude, it's not your, leave me alone. I don't want to go hunting. Where people just get offended that I don't hunt. So I'm sorry. I want to take this time to do a public apology to the world. Is the world watching? I'm sorry.
13 people. 13 people in this world are watching us.
What's up, man? What's going on?
I just got out of it. Like I lost all interest in it. That was my problem.
I only have 8
I was
months to fish, so
yeah. I love
I'm not
fishing
wasting
a
any
lot
money
more than I
to
love hunting.
fish. Yeah.
But I'm the same way. I'm like a bow and muzzleloader. I love that. I love bow hunting. That was what I did. And I mean, I just killed me a good one and I was just kind of done. I was like, I'd rather go catch big smallmouth than big largemouth.
Now, there would be something gratifying about eating something I killed. I would like to do that.
Yeah.
Like I thought about hunting just to shoot like 2 deer a year and eat them.
Yeah.
But then
that was me.
But then I was like,
yeah, I'm a meat hunter. I mean, that was like, I got the itch for some reason. I told Ben earlier this year, it's like, I was sitting on the couch. I was like, I just want to go kill something and like gut it and eat it. And I was like, I don't even know why.
Same
it's just
day.
like, I just want to go kill and like build a fire out in the backyard and just like eat it. And it was like, I was getting so itchy. I was just like gonna go get my bow out and like shoot a squirrel or something. I was bad.
Just rub the blood all over your face. Just get back.
Just like,
Just exfoliate.
Walk around, beat my chest. I don't know what was wrong with me.
I'm there. I'm with you. But then again, I just say I'm going fishing.
That's right. Yeah. About that time, I heard somebody sent me a text and said they were catching them good on a jerkbait, and I was like, all right, screw this. I'm going to go catch them on a jerkbait.
Dude, where I live, I got an AR-15. Okay, where I live, I see like 7 deer a day. I could literally sit on my porch and drop like 6 of them before they even move. Yeah. So it's like I could have like a whole year's worth of meat in 30 minutes. Dude, the thing that turned me off of hunting, I've lived outside my whole life, in the country or whatever. I went to get a hunting license. And the lady's like, you got to have a hunter safety course before you get the license. I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, you got to get a hunter safety course. I was like, man, I've been in the woods my whole life. Like, I'm good, we're good. I'm not going to shoot my foot off. And she's like, no, you have to have it. I'm like, no, I don't. And that's the reason I've never hunted. I was that close to going hunting. And she's telling me, I'm not going to sit in a class. Now you can do it online. But at the time, I'm not going to sit in class and listen to some guy tell me not to shoot myself in the foot. Like I did. I did. I'm not going to shoot out of a car window. I'm not that guy. There's a lot of my buddies that don't get. Don't get me wrong. We had one buddy, and this is a quick story. But we had one buddy that he used to always get in trouble with the game warden, just doing stupid stuff. And he missed like a deer 3 or 4 times from the same tree stand over on that farm. And my uncle went and got a mirror like off the side of a truck and put it on that tree stand. And the next time he got up there, like, that's what he saw, like a mirror where he needed it to prop where he could shoot the deer because he used to shoot them out of the truck. Which is,
That's funny.
Oh.
Rednecks.
That's right.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm reading some of these questions or comments here.
Yeah, these poor people, they're just kind of like over here just hanging out. We're just having a good time.
Tell stories now.
Yeah, they're just watching the show.
What's the craziest thing you've seen? Because you went through a lot of video, Shay. I mean, you've had to go through thousands of hours of video.
I'm trying to think of the craziest thing I can mention.
So for those of you guys who weren't watching earlier, Shay used to be the guy that put all the GoPros on the bass boats for the BASS Elite Series.
I've probably been through, because I would scrub, I can scrub like 30 minutes in like 7 seconds. I just scrub, looking for something. And I've probably been through, I don't know, thousands of hours of footage just on the Elite Series, much less the stuff I've done. 2 crazy things I mentioned. One was Jason Christie on Falcon. Now the water was down like 30 feet or something ridiculous. So when you pull up on the bank, like you got to walk forever. Like if it's 30 feet down, it was probably like 17 feet down. I don't remember what it was. But if it's that much vertically down, I mean, you realize that you got to walk like 400 feet to get to anything, like a bush or whatever. So he had to use the bathroom. Okay. So he comes in at the end of the day and he's like, hey, man, I caught fish on a 10XD. I don't want that shown. And I had to take shit. And I don't want that shown. So, like, I'm scrubbing through later on, and I'm going fast, you know, because that's what I do, looking for something. And I see scrubbing. He's like, way up his 400 feet to the first bush you can get to. And I was like, man, that's classic. And then
That's great.
the other thing was Iaconelli lost a big one at the Classic, and he just went nuts and started just kicking stuff and tearing up stuff and everything. And he looks down at the GoPro and he takes a 2-step punt and he just boom. He kicks the GoPro off the dash and lands in the water. That afternoon, I get a GoPro and it's soaking wet. I'm like, what in the world happened to this GoPro? And like his Marshall, it was plugged in with a cord. So I was like tethered to the boat, you know. So his Marshall fished it out of the water due to the cord. So I get, and that footage was still on there, but it just stopped when it hit the water. Like it hits the water, goes, it stops. So I'm like, that's what I see the first time, just water. And I'm like, what in the world? So I scrub back just a little bit. And I see him, he's fighting a 6-pounder. I'm like, why does it stop? Why is there water? What's going on? So he's fighting, he loses the 6-pounder. He goes, kicking, tearing up stuff. And he like looks around, like, what can I kick that ain't mine? And he finds that GoPro, boom, and that jumper goes. And I was like, wow, yeah.
That dude's nuts, man.
And that ended up being quite controversial. He got fined for that. But anyhow, I digress a little bit.
Dude, there was one time they were on Douglas, and he come. We're fishing in the back of this pocket, and like it's pouring rain, right? And they're out there fishing around. Well, me and Dad have been following. Well, we thought we're gonna go catch us a couple fish, so we go back in this pocket. There's nobody's back in there, dude. Here he comes. I'm talking hauling. Like 75 in the back of his pocket, lays it down before the boat even planes off. He picks the trolling up, slams it down, and flips on this bush and stops the boat, pumps it twice, and just, hammers one like a 5-pounder. He reels it in, gets it to the side of the boat, and picks it up, and I'm taught starts screaming as loud as he possibly can. Just, just all the way to the back of the boat. He never quit screaming, opens the live well, puts a call tag in the fish, throws him in there, and sits down and blasts back at it like 75 miles an hour. He's gone. I was like, me and Dad just stood there and looked at each other like, what the hell did that? What was that? He was just like a screaming demon, man. Here he came.
You know what that was?
Crazy.
I said, you know what that was? Random Tuesday for Iaconelli. That's every day. He's such a fool. Yeah.
He's hilarious. Like here he comes. I heard him too. I kind of looked at that and I thought, whoever that is hauling, man. He comes just right in there. You know, when you get going so fast, the boat just starts going like that. Here he comes in the back of this pocket, man. He's just crazy.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. You had to see lots of crazy stuff, though, Shay.
It was really good to see, like, people. Who's the angler you hate the most, dude? There's not one of them guys out there. And don't get me wrong, some of them got egos. You got to handle some of them differently. There's not one guy out there that I would say I don't like. Like I couldn't work with. Like they were all genuinely good guys. Some of them, again, have a little bit of an ego, but like at least 85% of them are just glad to be out there fishing. You know, just good dudes. It was really good to see that. I was disappointed in some things, like I was talking about, like getting information and stuff. But just to see a bunch of guys happy to get to be out there doing what they're doing was really refreshing to see. And people say, "Well, I'd be super pumped to be out there fishing for the day." It's a lot different than the average person thinks and gives them credit for. Like that life, even covering it. I was gone 220 days a year for like 2 years. Covering it was bad enough. But fishing, like when I'm sitting in the truck or sitting in the house and it's like 43 degrees and raining during practice, and I'm sitting, I ain't doing nothing, but they're out there just beating it. Just you can get all the help you want. That don't change the weather. So they have to deal with a lot of stuff I didn't have to deal with traveling, but just the traveling part of it and the whole 9 yards, it's just a whole nother. And most of those guys are stressed to the max trying to figure out how they're going to make their next boat payment, how they're going to make their next car payment. The majority of them out there realize they're living a dream, even though it seems like a nightmare at times. But they realize and they're thankful, and they just got to do what they got to do to get from point A to point B to the next tournament, And a lot of them guys out there are struggling, but they're thankful to get to be out there. And if they can't make it, they can't make it. They'll get 2 or 3 good years in. They can say they were professional fishermen and move on with their life, go get a job, whatever.
It'd be so hard, man.
That was like the other day when me and Bethany, I was talking about finding that spot hiking. The reason I didn't go fishing that day is because the wind was blowing 20, 25 miles an hour. So I thought, instead of going out on the lake and being out there in that, I'm going to go hike. Well, we hiked around Cherokee Lake, and sure enough, dude, there's pros out there on the points. I mean, it's mist and rain, wind's blowing 25 miles an hour, and they're out there fishing. I'm just like, yeah. That, you can have that. You know what I mean?
There were a lot of days I was glad to be behind the camera, I'll be honest with you, instead on the other side of it. Like people say, oh, don't you wish you could be a professional? No, not really. Not that often. There's been a few days where I'm watching a guy punch a mat, and I'm like, this sucks really, really bad.
Yeah.
This is miserable. But most of the time, I was like, it's a good thing I'm getting paid tomorrow. I'm really excited that I don't have to fish for a living. Especially when you go out there and watch the dudes. And it's like a terrible fishery, terrible time of the year, terrible bite, and it takes 13 pounds a day to get a check. I'm like, God almighty, dude, I can catch 7 pounds out there right now. Because I'm watching, I know I'm out there in the middle of it. I'm like, dude, how are they catching them? It blows my mind how good the average fisherman is on the Elite Series. They're really, really good.
I was like when I fished with Ott. I mean, I'd never, we're fishing. We get on the water. Ott runs across the lake. We fish up a bank. He said, dude, this isn't working. I want to go check something out. We pull up on a hump and start catching them. And, I mean, 3 casts, he catches a 4 1/4 smallmouth. I mean, and we're just, fish after fish after fish. I mean, he knew exactly where to go, exactly what to do. I mean, it was so instinctual, and he knew his electronics so well. I mean, it was just kind of mind-blowing. You know what I mean? I was just like, dang, gone.
He just acted like it was – he just –
yeah.
But you're like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it kind of blew my mind. And I was like – and it was him he caught that 4 1/4 smallmouth and just didn't even get excited. I mean, he was just like, whatever. Here it is. He's like, stick that in the live well. I want to take a picture with that later. I was like, okay. Dropped it in there. There you go. It's just hilarious.
Dude,
I don't know. That's kind of why I'm hoping the whole YouTube thing works out, is so that on days that I know that the weather's going to be bad, I can sit in the house and still make my money. And on days that I know I can go catch fish, I can go catch fish and still make my money. So.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I have some cool collaborations, cool stuff going on this season, and I'm really trying to make something work. I mean, it's not going to come overnight, but I want to make it work. I think online fishing, as we talked about earlier, that's really where a lot of the money is going to be in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Yep. Hopefully we're all on the front end of it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. Hank Parker told me at ICAST. I talked to him while we were down there, and it was so cool. He told me, he said, I've fished for a lot of years, and there was a lot of times that I looked up and didn't know if I was going to be able to make my next tournament payment, or if I was even the lights were going to be cut off in my house. He said, but looking back on it now, he said it was all worth it. And he said, I think this whole internet fishing thing is just like that. And he said, I think you guys are on the forefront of it. And I was like, well, all right then. You say it, Mr. Parker. I'm going to stick with it then.
Anthony's sitting beside you right now like, yeah, we better be able to keep the lights on.
That's right.
That's what you have
sitting beside me right now saying we better be able to keep the lights on. Yeah, we better. Yeah, that's what the degree's for. That's the fallback plan, is when this all doesn't pan out, I can still go be a teacher and still make money and have plenty of time to fish.
That's right.
That's right. That's one of the things me and David both have a common ground on, is he used to be a teacher too, and he's like, that's the only reason I'm so good at summer deep fishing. He said it's because that's all the time I had when I was teaching was to go summer deep fish. I was like, well, that makes sense.
Yeah. Sorry.
I can't wait.
What were you gonna say, Alex?
I said I can't believe we've been on this long. It doesn't even seem like it. It's kind of crazy.
No, I know. I looked down at the clock. I'm like, holy smokes. But Shay, yeah, if you're serious, man, I'll pay for a hotel. You contact me. We'll figure it out.
Let's go.
For real.
For real.
Okay.
You know me. I'm all about it. I can get some harebrained ideas, and I'm all about it. Now I just got to figure out how to pay for it. But I got a credit card in the safe. It's like this. I don't carry a credit card in my wallet because I'm a very impulse kind of guy. And I would like,
y'all better be on Craigslist in Alabama. You may be getting some good deals on some stuff because he's trying to find somebody to get down to Florida.
I'll be walking.
Like, that's going to be sold.
There's a 12-serving Keurig, and I live by myself. I need that. Not real smart with money. But no, I'll give you a holler here in a minute. We'll get it figured out.
Sounds good, buddy. Someone asked, what's the best size swim bait to start with? If you're literally just starting swim baiting, get used to throwing a paddle tail. So just like a soft plastic paddle tail swim bait, that's the best way to start. 5-inch size is pretty standard. And then once you want to move into like an actual hard body or like a Huddleston, either start with a Huddleston 68 special or start with like a glide bait. River to CS waiver is a cheap way to get into swim bait fishing.
That 68 special is pretty good. And I take the weedless one and throw it in grass like a swim jig. If you just want to get some bites and you got grass around, you can go do that with it because it's you're gonna get some more bites, and it's a typical pattern. Like if you're used to throwing a swim jig and you go out there and do that, and you're like, you're used to not getting a bite on the first cast with a swim jig. You're not gonna get a bite on the first cast with that swim bait either. But like for me, it's hard for me to go do something for an hour without getting a bite that I've never done. Versus I've gone an hour without getting a bite on a swim jig pretty easy, so I can go do it. And I feel like I'm going to get bit anyway without ever having had a bite.
Yeah. But
don't go do it around here.
How do you rig that?
It's just weedless. Just put it on braid and chunk it.
So you just put like a screw lock, like a belly weighted swim bait hook in there?
No, the 68 special. It's just it's just the body, and instead of having the hook come out of it, there's a slit up there near the nose, and if you pinch down on the rubber or the plastic or whatever, the hook comes out.
Oh, it's already got a hook in the bait.
It's pretty. Yeah. You got some, but they ain't out here.
It's pretty much a Huddleston with the jig hook, but the jig hook's under the bait. There's like a slot, and you can just push, and it comes out.
I had no clue.
It's pretty awesome.
Yep.
Pretty awesome.
And let's take one more question, and then we'll get offline. Because Kylie's texting me. She's like, "Are you lost?"
Hey.
I gotta get my fire going back. It's just embers now. Yeah, we gotta.
It's hot in here.
No, it ain't hot. It's freezing.
Yeah, Alex, you're in a hoodie. She's over there in a t-shirt.
Yeah, I love it, man. I freeze to death.
You would not make it up here, man. You'd die.
No, dude, I'd freeze to death. Yeah, I'd die. I would literally die. I'd walk outside and just fall over dead.
I'd kill myself.
On a real serious note, dude, what is going on with Facebook Live where people are like, okay, I read this online, but there's this girl that hung herself on Facebook Live, and then there's like, dude, not kidding.
Well, there was those black kids beat the crap out of that poor mentally challenged white dude.
I know. I was going to say that too. How crazy is that, man? What is going on with our world?
Oh man, they were doing it already. They should have Facebook Live and show everybody.
Right.
That's right.
Folks crazy, man.
It's crazy.
Folks are crazy.
What's going on, Vinny? Someone said, "Do I ever think I'll come to Southern Wisconsin?" Maybe.
Wisconsin.
I'd like to go to Mississippi River and La Crosse.
I've covered a couple of tournaments there. Is that southern Wisconsin?
I'm not sure.
Awesome. It's pretty awesome. Like, it's a good frog section too. I mean, like 3 weeks out of the year, you know, but it's pretty good frog fishing. There's a bunch of shoreline grass and dollar lilies and stuff like that.
What's the coolest place you've ever traveled for the Elite Series?
Cal Delta was pretty awesome just because it's such a Amistad too, though, Falcon. I like the fisheries like that, like Erie. I shot some awesome pictures, and I mean, anybody could have done it, but it was awesome to see on Erie. I shot pictures of Derek Remitz, and like you would see just his head. And the only reason I left that is for some reason. Oh, lost you.
Sorry.
Y'all there?
Yep.
Yeah, you're good, man.
Anyway, he would go down and completely disappear and then pop back up, and he'd be like way up there, you know, back and forth. So I shot some cool pictures of that, and that was interesting. And it's just cool to say I survived it because it was pretty horrendous, really, really bad weather.
You had a driver out there?
I was in my boat like an idiot. I drove my boat out there. I would drive and be my own boat driver a lot of times. So it'd just be me and the guy, and I like that. It's kind of more intimate where it's just you and the angler, you know. So I did that most of the time. But Okeechobee is a great one. I covered Randall Clark. I got a picture hanging back there when he caught 30. He caught 29 something one day and 32 the other day, and won a tour event down there with 100 and something pounds, 124 or something. Outrageous. But I covered him and watched him in, like, no lie, probably 30 minutes. It was one of the coolest things ever. We're going along, and he's not catching anything, and he flips into a mat and catches a 4-pounder. Flips in there again and catches a 2-pounder. Picks up his trolling motor. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? You just caught 2 fish, you know. Picks up his trolling motor and goes to where the juice is, because down there's time frames where, and it moved an hour every day, but there's times where every fish in the lake bites, it seems like. So he's got areas where he knows the bigger fish are, but he knows it's pointless to fish there early. And a lot of them guys know he's really good down there, so they would watch him and they would go fish where he fished. So he would go fish junk for the first hour, 2 hours, however long for that day. And then when everybody stopped looking at him because they've all kind of gotten distracted and they're all fishing what he had already gave up, Scott Martin did this too. He would like watch Tharp and he would mark a waypoint and they'd go fish it. And that's on his home lake. But anyway, he would just get everybody so screwed up, like following him all morning. And he'd catch fish. I mean, he had like 13 pounds or whatever. But then as soon as he got 2 or 3 bites in a row, he'd pick up and run. And that joker ran into a stretch of little isolated mats. He's coasting up, drops his poles, first pitch, yo-yos it about 10 times, 7-pounder. Goes to the next little mat, you know, puts it in the live well, gets everything done. Goes to the next little mat about 40 yards away, coasts in, drops his poles, pitches in there, 6-pounder. And I'm like, this is unfreaking believable. He did that for 30 minutes. And like most of the time, he probably fished for like 6 minutes out of that 30 minutes. Most of the time, he was putting the fish in the live well and, you know, getting the motor cranked up, idling to the next little mat. But that's what he had. He had like a little old money stretch. And he just rolled through there and caught 29 pounds. And I was like, this is unfreaking believable.
Wow.
Watching a guy like that where, in my mind, when you catch 30 pounds, you weed through 400 fish in a day, and you just happen to finally catch 5, 6 pounders, and you're just on them all day, and that's it. Whereas on the other side of things, on Gunnersville, on Okeechobee, a lot of these hammer places where the 30-pound bag is legitimately possible, you'll get 6 bites in a day. Like on Gunnersville one time, I had 26 pounds. I had 5 bites. I'm not talking about had 5, lost 3. I had 5 bites all day and had 26 pounds, 26, 12, something like that. And then on Okeechobee that day when I had 29 something, I had 29.8. I probably caught 10 fish, but it still wasn't astronomical,
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's a big misconception too, because that day I caught 29 1/4 pounds up here. People think I went out and just like crushed fish all day, was on like 30, 40 bites. I only had 8 or 9 bites all day.
You fish for
So-
big fish. That's what the thing is. Like, if you go out and fish for big fish, that's what a lot of good tournament fishermen do anyway. Big bait fishermen, like you're talking about, like Alex talking about. A lot of those guys go out and fish for big fish. Well, every now and then you run into 5 in a day. So that's the thing. Like, when you fish for big fish, you're not going to get a lot of bites. But that's the thing. It's not like you're going to get 40 bites when you catch a 30-pound bag. You know, you might get 6 or 7 bites, and you got to capitalize on those bites when you get them to have a chance, you know.
The best days of fishing of my whole entire life, the biggest bags I've ever caught, I got 6 to 7 bites all day long, and they were all the right fish. You know what I mean? And that's just it's just how it works.
Yeah, you were fishing for them though. That's what you got to do to have a chance.
Yeah.
You got to fish for them. You can't go out and throw. And then you might catch a big fish with a shaky head. You might, you know, something like that. But you're not fishing for big fish if you're doing that and you happen to catch one. You got to really go out and, like down here. And I'm not talking about 30-pound bags anymore, but like a 20-pound bag out here. There's lakes, you know, shallow, muddy lakes, and a lot of people fear shallow, cold, muddy water. I love it, and I'll go throw like a double Colorado spinnerbait all day, and that's fishing for a big bite. And every now and then you'll get 4 or 5 big bites in a day, but typically you're gonna get 1 big bite and have 12 pounds, you know, something like that, realistically. But you got to be fishing for them to give yourself a chance to catch a big bag.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Someone asked about driving big water, and we'll make this our last question, but because we talked about it with Erie, Shay. I mean, you're from down south. How did you handle that water on Erie?
Very poorly. Basically, driving big water up there, and you know a lot more about it than I do, you just got to do what it'll allow you to do. You can't go out there and say, I'm going to hammer down, I'm going to ride the tops of them. You're not going to do that. You can't go out there and just idle. You're not going to do that. You just kind of got to find a sweet spot by spearing a couple, by doing whatever, as far as I was concerned, because I'd never done it. So I just finally had to find me a sweet spot. And a lot of times it's riding the troughs, or it's, you know, trying to not go into the wind, or, you know, sometimes depending on how the wind's blowing, it's better to go into it. It's better to go straight perpendicular to it, you know, but then sometimes it's better to kind of parallel it. And in those situations, you might have to go a mile out of the way to get behind an island to turn and go a mile, you know. So it might, you just got to kind of do what the water will let you do, you know.
Yeah, and here's the story for you guys. There's a spot that I run, and it's 11 miles away from the launch. And it typically takes me 15 to 20 minutes to get there. And this is on big water. This is on Huron. Well, we got out there, and it wasn't supposed to blow all day. We got out there, and the wind starts picking up, and you start seeing 3-footers start rolling. And when you start seeing 3s, you know 4s and 5s are about to come right behind it. So we start heading out of there. It took us 2.5 hours to get back. Not because I didn't know how to drive it, but because when you get in that big water, I mean, you really, like Shay said, you really can only do so much, and you're going right back with the wind. So you just kind of, they call it tacking, right? And that's where you kind of zigzag, and you come back and forth with the waves because there's nothing to get behind. It's literally water as far as you can see. You get up on a crest of a wave, so on the top of the wave, and you ride it for a while, and then you basically just fall over into the trough. Then you ride that, and you just kind of zigzag back and forth until you get to where you want to go. But you got to really play it safe. I know those Elite Series guys don't have 2.5 hours to get back to the ramp or get out to their spots, but you just really got to play it safe. And like when I saw that tournament on Erie, what was it, 2 years ago now?
Yeah.
I know a guy beached his boat, and I saw the photos you took of Remitz where you literally could only see his head. I mean, the waves are up so high you can only see his head. And then when you get a shot when he's on top of it, it looks like he's on top of the world.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that stuff is not anything to mess with. I actually thought to myself, if I didn't have a tournament, there is not a chance in the world. Not a chance in the world that would have been out there.
I mean, you know, these lakes down here on a river, if you break down, somebody's going to come by you. You get out there in the middle of the ocean, break down, you might not see anybody for 3 or 4 days. Like, you get out there and you can see the horizon, and it's water.
Yeah.
So if you're right past that, you cannot. People can't see you, depending on where they're running or whatever. So, like you're talking about, there's guys up there both years that beach their boats on what's that island out there?
It's Peely.
Peely. They beached their boats out there and had to spend the night. Both years, the last 2 times they went. So, and they were lucky to be able to get to Peely to beach their boats because they would have otherwise gone under. It's bad stuff.
Well, that day that my motor broke down and I texted you from Lake Huron, I called the Towboat US company and I'm like, hey, I broke down on Huron, and they're like, dude, we're glad you're not out here 2 weeks later because it'd have been a lot harder to get a towboat out to you, and we don't know how long it would have been. Even in November, it still took them 2 hours to get a towboat out to me, and it's like there is no one. And when I say no one, I'm not talking like you're by yourself in the cove, you go around the corner, there's someone. I'm talking like you're the only boat at the ramp, no one. And that stuff gets scary.
Yeah. When you start second guessing whether or not it's worth going out, and you've caught 29 pounds of smallmouth out there, and you're still like, I just don't know if it's worth going out there.
No, dude, it's not. It's not. But anyways, we're going to call it a wrap. Tonight was a ton of fun. We got a lot of great stories, kind of covered everything from A to Z, but I appreciate you, Shay, and you, Alex, as always being on here, guys, and it's been a ton of fun. So go over, check out Uploaded Fishing, uploadedfishing.com. Check them out on social media, Instagram, Facebook. They have a Twitter as well, but it's at Uploaded Fishing. And then go over and check out Alex Rudd. Alex's channel is growing a lot as you start posting every day, man. Your channel is growing a ton. So
yeah,
go check him out.
I think I may have broke 3,000. Let me check real quick. I was going to say if I did or not, because I know I'm like ridiculously close. And I'll tell you if I have or not.
Well, dude, like I told you this weekend, I was like, dude, I'd be surprised if you don't break 3,000 by the end of the weekend.
2986 is what I'm at right now. So almost 3,000.
I hope you get there.
2987.
What'd you say?
2987. Uploaded Fishing is about to follow you.
Yeah, okay, good.
But yeah,
dude, man, I'm
so go get Alex at 3,000. Go put him up to 3,000.
All right, I'm at 2991 now.
So let's try to get Alex. You're so close,
it's
man.
crazy.
You're like right there.
Well, I don't understand. Like, I really like. I'm so glad that everybody's like being as supportive as they have been, but I have no explanation for it. Like, my channel is just growing so rapidly the past few days.
You gained like what, 300 subs in the past 2 weeks?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's great. That's a ton. If you keep up like that.
See if you made it over 3,000 yet.
Oh, let me refresh my page. Let's see here. 2993.
7 more. Let me call my mom.
So close.
Mom, do you have the YouTube? I don't live with my mom.
I'm at 2994 now. Hold on a second. Let's see if we can do it. Hold on.
We are so stupid. We are so stinking close, man.
It's holding pretty good at 2994 right now. It'll happen before the end of the night, though.
It'll happen before midnight, man. You're gonna get there. So.
Yeah.
But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to both these guys, Uploaded Fishing and Alex Rudd. And if any of you guys are going to be at the Novi show next weekend, oh, hold on. Let me make myself the big screen. If any of you guys are going to be at the Novi show this weekend, come over, say hi. It'll be all over my Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter. I'll have where I'm at when I'm going to be there. But anyways, take care. Tight lines. God bless.